All right, tonight we got a special one, a long-awaited chat with John C. Dvorak. He until recently he was writing columns for the PC Magazine. He's the co-host of one of our favorite podcasts, the No Agenda Show, and also DH Unplugged. Really want to thank you for joining us today, John.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to chat with you. A lot of our listeners obviously have heard you guys before. We're all big fans of No Agenda. And what you guys are doing, you're actually helping a lot of people.
Well, I hope so, because that's what they keep telling us.
Yeah, it's funny. We didn't even know about. We didn't hear about you guys until we had recorded, I think, like our third episode. And
what year was that?
That would have been 2013.
2013.
It was the summer of 2013, and we did a couple episodes, and we ended up going on this other podcast that had just started, and the producer of that show emailed us, and they're like, what are you guys going to do for a business model? You know, you should check out these No Agenda guys. We think they got a good model to try out. So then, I mean, I initially listened just to check out your business model, and fucking ended up tumbling all the way down the rabbit hole. And here we are 6 years later, and you guys are still probably, the only podcast that I listen to every episode. I took a little break. I was a man overboard for a couple of months there. It just got to be too much, and
I don't know how you could not be a man overboard, at least for some period of time.
Yeah, I had to take 2 months there. I was moving, and it was all too much. So I just took a break from politics and everything news, no politics for a couple of months. But I'm back now, and it's still, I'll skip everything else when the new No Agenda comes out. And I think it's because I don't have cable. And I do kind of treat you guys as my main news source at this point in time.
A lot of people say that. And I'm not sure they're sincere. We do give you a lot of news, but there's all kinds of, if you have any curiosity about a lot of celebrity stories and things that crop up that are interesting enough that we don't cover. I think if you just listen to us in TMZ, you'd probably be good.
Yeah, that would about do it for sure. I think, one of the funny things is because I was, we did another show with Sam Tripoli there a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of these are conspiracy shows, and they're starting to talk about pipelines in Aleppo, and talking about the Unabomber stuff and stuff like this. And it's like, Graham and I are just so far ahead of the curve because we're like, well, No Agenda, these guys aren't even really conspiracy guys, but they were talking about this stuff like
years ago,
literally years ago. It's like, it's honestly, it's unbelievable that all the information is there. And it's just hard to track down. Before we go too far into the No Agenda stuff though, I did want to touch on the PC Mag stuff, because we've had kind of a thread going here for the last couple months on YouTube censorship and people getting their YouTube shut down and people being deplatformed and all sorts of stuff like that. And it would seem like the PC Magazine firing has got to be something along those lines.
Well, there is the coincidence of my 5G column kind of getting replaced with another pro 5G column. My column just said that I was skeptical about it. I don't know. The magazine is really not, they don't even emphasize columnists anymore. If you look along the top of their banner, it doesn't even have opinion. Some of the foreign licensees still have it, but they took that down. So you can't click on opinion on the front page. They also took the teasers off. I used to have a teaser on the front page called, Dvorak versus the internet. I think they just decided somewhere along the line that this was, they wanted to just do mostly product reviews and native advertising, pretty much. It's a couple of things I've seen in there are like sketchy.
Yeah. How long were you with them for?
Well, I was with PC Magazine since 1986.
Wow.
But that changed. They iterated. It iterated at least 3 times, maybe 4 times, maybe 5.
Yeah.
It went from this big fat magazine. It was very profitable and fun to be with. The heydays were probably 1980s for me. Actually, for the whole industry, the heydays were probably 1985 through 1999. And then after the .com crash, everything pulled back and became kind of a wimpy version of it, what it once was. And I just kind of surprised that I've hung on continually writing these columns for them, including a couple of years where I wrote one a day since 1999, when the whole thing, the .com collapse took the whole industry and screwed it, changed it radically. And I'm surprised I lasted as long as I did, to be honest about it. And I got other things to do. I mean, I can put up some sites. I mean, nowadays, if you're entrepreneurial and you know how to use WordPress and blogging software and, audio visual software to do podcasts, you don't really need the umbrella of some other organization. You do for some marketing maybe, but if you're taking the marketing, or if you're doing anything a little bit about marketing, you don't even necessarily need that. So it doesn't bother me. The reason I always liked writing for a magazine that had deadlines is because they had deadlines.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, it was up to me. I mean, I've got to, I just as soon just do podcasting and talk, and it's easier than sitting down and actually producing a piece of writing that may get attention or not attention. But
this should give you some more time for working on your books. I mean, it's funny when we told our listeners that you're coming on. Like, one of the most common questions was, ask them about the vinegar book. And
the vinegar book.
And I'm like, I don't know why they're so interested in that, but it's pretty funny.
Well, the vinegar book is pretty much done. It just needs to be organized. And this is an important book. The fact that I've lagged so far behind my promises on the vinegar book, I feel bad about it, because I know there are people drinking, as we speak, drinking homemade or using homemade vinegar that is not healthy. Then again, more people drink kombucha, and it's kind of in that same category.
That's right. Yeah, I went through a kombucha phase a little while ago.
I was drinking kombucha just the other day. What about apple cider vinegar? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. The funny thing is, some of the vinegar books will tell you, hey, get some apple cider vinegar with the live cultures. And, by the way, I did see one of the bad cultures in one apple cider vinegar bottle once in my life. I saw one, and I refused to buy that brand. I'm not a big apple cider vinegar guy, except for salads. Except for coleslaw. Coleslaw really requires it. Anyway, apple cider has a culture that is specific to apples, a vinegar culture and a Cedarbacter. And so the people I've seen, just get some of the live apple cider vinegar and put some of that in your wine, and you'll get vinegar. Yeah, you'll get kind of a vinegar. It's not going to taste right because it's not the right vinegar bacteria. It turns out that wine has a specific bacteria that it likes the best. Apples have another one. Malt beverages, beer. So when you have malt vinegar that you buy, SARS and these different companies that make it for the fish and chips, that's a different culture. And those crazy vinegars out of Asia, generally speaking, are different cultures too. And so you really want the specific wine vinegar culture. Anyway, right. I can talk about it for a while if you want to talk an hour about vinegar, but the book's not getting done doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So is that something you're going to plan on doing? Maybe finish off some writing like that?
Yeah, no, I got the vinegar book. I still got a cycles book. On top of the list is my cataract book. I'm going to write about my experience getting a cataract surgery.
I can help you with that. Which turns out to
be quite entertaining. They got you down. You're wide awake, and they're cutting into your eyeball. Think about it.
Yeah.
So.
Cataracts you get from smoking weed.
I don't know.
Does weed help cataracts?
Yeah,
no, I think it's a different one.
You just get them when you get them. It's usually from UV. That's the biggest culprit. I mean, I've got this theory that the ophthalmologists, they roll their eyes when I'm coming up with these ideas. But I have cataracts in both eyes. The one in the right eye is nothing. There's nothing. It's just that it doesn't affect my vision. The one in the left eye was getting really bad. It got so bad that I had to have a cataract surgery. And I believe, because especially since I'm a Californian and we drive a lot, I believe that men, because they're always tend to be in the driver's seats of cars that have the sun hitting the right side of their face is affecting that particular eyeball more than the other one. And that's why I think you get left eye cataracts from all the extra UV and sunlight that's pounding the eye.
Now do you think there's something to do with that coming through the window, or because it
just comes through the window. Sure, it comes through the window, comes through the open window, comes through the closed window.
It doesn't make a difference.
Well, you guys are in Alaska or someplace, but generally speaking, when you're driving around, you got this hot sun hitting you, and you got to bring the visors down, and half the time it doesn't work. You end up just having to put up with it. That's just, but again, it's not. Yeah, they don't care.
No, because I've been hearing a lot of stuff about UV being not as bad as they think for us, So I'm never sure with that. I haven't dug into it enough. This
is a never-ending story.
Yeah,
chocolate's going to kill you.
Yeah,
Chocolate's good for you. Coffee's going to kill you. You need 2 cups a day.
Yeah,
I mean, it never ends. And
yeah.
This goes on and on and on. My favorite was a number of years ago when they said cast iron stoves. Or not cast iron stoves. Cast iron pans are going to kill you.
Yeah, now they're good.
You don't need all this iron, even though people take iron supplements.
Yeah. And now they're back on the good thing. Now people like them. Now they're back in.
Well, I have it on good authority that Indians are solar powered, so we need sun.
Yeah,
I'm an Indian, so
are you more than 1/1024th Indian?
I'm like 48%, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm an Ojibwe.
48% cash in.
Ojibwe. I have a treaty card. So obviously you've had an interesting life to end up, you always regale us with these sort of out of context stories on No Agenda that tend to pop up from time to time. And I think
out of context is the correct word. It's almost like the whole show's a Shaggy dog story if I have too many of those.
Yeah, but there's a certain amount of us that just love them. So I was wondering if you could give those people a little rundown of kind of how you ended up where you're at today. I mean, obviously you did a PC magazine for 30 years, but you must have had a ton of other stops along the way. You've done a ton of traveling. You were an inspector of sorts for a while, multiple podcasts.
Well, I was worked for the government, and I was a chemist. I got a degree in history and chemistry at Cal, but it was history, but I took a lot of chemistry so I could get a job as a chemist. I always liked chemistry. As my vinegar book will reflect that, I think maybe. I floated around working for the government, but I'm always going to be a writer because I was a writer. I was a writer in a high school newspaper. I was a writer at the University of California newspaper. I'm always a columnist, and I just got involved with this personal computer thing when it started, and I decided to kind of get involved with it. And it turned out that I could sell stuff. I could do different kinds of things. That's where I learned the period of time I learned my direct marketing skills by taking a lot of seminars. But it turned out I was a better writer than I was at sales. So I just kind of went into it and started working at InfoWorld. And then I did bunch of books and went to PC Magazine and stayed there during the heyday that I described. It was pretty hard to do anything else because there was other magazines to write for. I was writing for all these different. I was writing for the local I was writing for the San Francisco Examiner, now the Chronicle, a whole bunch of different computer magazines because there were so many of them, including Ahoy, which was for the Commodore 64. Wow. And during that period, since you were writing, and I was writing overseas, I was just writing a lot. You get invited to a lot of things, so that's how the travel came in. It was like I was being shuffled all over the place, and that was fun because it was on somebody else's dime. And I kind of just settled in as this. When I was in college, I also took broadcasting. I went to Foothill College for one year and 2 semesters. I went to start off at Cal, Berkeley.
Was school free back then?
Yes. Yes, it was free.
So the economy must have been just devastated.
What?
So the economy must have been just devastated from all that free school.
It was booming, actually. Which is, the ironic. This nonsense about it just became such a money-making scam, these big universities, especially the public ones like Cal, that they, they've kind of cut themselves off from the oversight of the government, state government, which the University of California is for the kids, California kids. It wasn't for, 30% Hong Kong-born Chinese like it is today, or mainlanders. But they were making more money on foreign students. Somebody added it up and said, let's just gouge these kids, and it's because they have these cheap student loans that you can get from the government. They're part of the scam. Just charge more for the kids, or just take out bigger loans. But what happens when the kids graduate with this huge debt? So what? We got our money, and that's kind of the way I see it today. Yeah, wasn't that way then. Anyway, I went to I went to Foothill College for 1 year, and I went back to Cal. And when I figured out what I wanted to do, and finished off at Cal in history. But when I was at Foothill, I took broadcasting too, and I took marketing, I took advertising. They had these crazy courses that you couldn't transfer over. I took public speaking. Almost all my skills that I use today, including the one I'm doing right now, stems from 1 year at Foothill College. It's really got nothing to do with Cal. Cal got me the ability to think better, smarter, and the ability to do serious research and look at history a different way. But all the money-making aspects of my life are all from junior college, taking these kind of, wouldn't call them mercantile, they would be more like mercenary courses. I mean, who takes advertising in college? Well, they gave a course, I took it. Yeah.
Was that like a Carnegie-style public speaking course? I've heard that's a good one.
No. It was a very academic-style public speaking course. And it consisted mostly of having to give a speech every week. Everyone had to give or maybe more, I can't remember. But you had to do these speeches to the small audience of the people in the class, which is, if you do a lot of public speaking, you soon realize that the bigger the audience, the easier it is to speak to them, unless you're nervous. But it's generally better because they're more receptive, because they're not like looking at each other in the same little small group. If you had to give the same speech to 2,000 people that you'd have to give to like 15 people, you would have a much better, you'd get a much better reception from the 2,000 people than the 15. So to have to do these speeches to the small little critical group is actually kind of rough. I thought it was a good course. I think the students, if they have an opportunity to take a public speaking course, should all do it. I also took dramatic arts, and I did take some of that at Cal too. And there are fun courses that you can take besides ethnic studies.
Yeah, and
which
all this
is
stuff,
not really fun.
And all this stuff is helping you out now in your podcasting. So at some point, I mean, I think I've only heard your genesis story of No Agenda maybe once in the past 5 or 6 years. But at some point, you transitioned from writing into talking more. And I don't know if No Agenda happened before DH Unplugged and all that. I'm not sure about that. But what
about
Unplugged
came
much later? Yeah.
DH Unplugged came later.
Yeah.
What came before was Cranky Geeks, also Silicon Spin. I was working at a cable network, ZDTV, which became Tech TV, and I did 1,000 talk shows for them in a style I perfected on Cranky Geeks. So I was doing other stuff, but it was tend to be video.
Yeah.
And video is great, but there's requirements of video that Adam and I, neither one of us think too much about. The way we see it, there's no reason to do what we do with video. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to do it with video. People always say, well, why don't you guys do this and that? No. You want to see me on video? Here, I'm on Grimerica. Hello.
Yeah, there you go. This will be a big draw.
That's about all you're going to get out of it.
This will be a big draw as people just get to see Dvorak.
If you're going to do video, for a network or something, you better get paid a lot of money. Seems to me. If you're not making a lot of money on video, I don't see any reason to do it. But we also come, we do the show. I'm early in the morning when we do the show. Sometimes you're in your underwear, or sometimes you want to get up and stretch, or you want to walk away from the mic, or you want to lean back, or you want to do all these things you can't really do on video. You got to be kind of hunched over the mic, or you could be laved up, which is the way I would do it. If I had the right, I think I got good labs, but I don't usually use them.
So let's get you guys on Grimerica from time to time, and people can see your pretty faces.
Well, so what happened when I was doing these other things, I forgot what year it was, but it was some time ago. It was probably a year or two before we did the first No Agenda show. Adam was in town, and I knew him from CNET because I was on the startup team at CNET, and Adam was being auditioned to play some role that was ended up Hart ended up getting that job, and who I haven't seen for years. But I was doing some reviewing for them, game reviewing. It was written, it was scripted, it was fun. I did that for maybe a year or two. And so I heard he was in town, so I said, and I knew he was running this little podcasting operation called Pod Show. And I had decided, because I've seen these other guys starting to do podcasting, that I'm going to learn how to do podcasting, because to me, it wasn't apparent how easy it is. Mm-hmm. Because I knew a lot of audio stuff. I wasn't like a slouch about any. I was an engineer, a third-class licensed type engineer, radio qualified, and worked at KFJC. But the podcasting thing was somehow it was. I don't know why it was elusive looking back on it, but it was. And so I went and told them I wanted to get a job there so I could start. And so they gave me this vice presidency as some bogus title that I could actually start to learn how to do it on a professional level, and all the tricks and all the and it was kind of, now I look back and it was a lot cruder back then than it is now too, in terms of how to get stuff posted and marketed and all the rest. But I figured I'm going to learn this because it looked to me as though this was an opportunity to do something different. I saw the 99.com collapsing everything, and the magazines were done because they all gave up. They were poorly managed, and I was figured, well, I won't even be at PC Magazine much longer, although I was a lot longer. I wanted to learn this little skill, and I did. And then Adam and I started the podcast on a lark because we kind of liked each other, and we could do something. You have a chat. It started off as a boring chat, yeah. And I'm not even sure when it actually. I think I probably triggered some of it. We did do some news analysis, and we used to talk about what restaurants we went to, which was kind of boorish. And I brought in a few clips, and then we started bouncing off the clips. And I think I did that for about 5 shows. Then Adam decided he's going to get some clips and start putting them in. Then the next thing, we both are getting clips, and then we're starting to talk about these clips. And then the phenomenon that really took place that was interesting, and I don't think Adam would disagree with this, was as you listen, because it's an audio show. So as you're producing the clips and editing them, you're listening to them maybe 2 or 3 times. And then when you listen to them more than once, you start hearing things like, wait, what did he say?
Yeah.
And you start to hear the nuances, and you hear the tells, like I did with the Al Gore thing recently, if you heard that show.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your micro expression course coming up, maybe.
Yeah, micro expression course. Yes.
Was that after talking to Scott Adams?
No, this micro expression. Scott Adams' take on things. He probably picks up on a lot of this stuff because he's like a hypnotist. But no, it really didn't have anything to do with Scott. It had more to do with me falling into finding this micro expressions guy. Anyway, so when you started listening to clips, you'd hear the fumbles, you'd hear the tells, you'd hear the throat clearings, you'd hear all these different things. And then you'd also hear the truth coming out, somebody accidentally saying the wrong thing. And that kind of is what developed into the deconstruction, because that's what we were doing. We were deconstructing these clips. Because I'm telling you, anybody can go record a whole half hour of like the Jeff Glor CBS News and just you'll hear stuff in there that if you listen to it more than once, you'll catch it. You won't catch it the first time, including a lot of really, really chicken shit tricks that I know they're doing on purpose. So then the show kind of evolved, and we got to show 100, and that's when Adam wanted to quit.
Wow.
Yeah. It's on show 100 if you ever want to go back and listen to it. He wanted to quit because he thinks we had a great run.
Nice.
Quit while you're ahead. This is a great run. We've done 100 episodes.
And I said, well, I don't know. And because I was noticing that we could probably get the value for value model working, and it was already showing signs of life.
Was it twice a week back then?
I think by 100 it might have been.
Yeah.
And I think there was also the period where we kept promising a third show.
Oh, wow.
Which actually became a gimmick after a while. And we knew we weren't going to do a third show because we had done a number of specials. So we do the 2 shows and we do a special, like a thing for a holiday break. Because we don't put reruns necessarily on. We put specials. We do various things. Adam has done a couple. I've done a couple. And we noticed that just doing that, which would have been the equivalent of a third show, even though it's possible that the shows could be shorter, it was too much work. We do the 3 hours, 6 hours a week. It seems like enough. It's over an hour a day of material. So, and it's all.
Well, we got to thank you for that, because if you guys were doing 9 hours a week, nobody would be listening to us.
I don't know about that. Nobody be listening to us is the way I see it, because at some point you can't take it anymore. We have a lot of people that most of our best listeners are commuters. They're in a truck or they got a horrible commute, and our 6 hours helps them in their commute because it makes it go by faster. And 9 hours, is kind of pushing it. And the problem that I have, and I'll tell you, this is part of the model, because we've had all these suggestions to do this and that. And so one of the aspects of the model was, why don't you guys do freemium? And freemium is where you have, you do it this way. You do an hour of the No Agenda show, and for you who paid us extra money, here's your code, and you can listen to 2 more hours.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because you're paying us.
Yeah.
For the 2 hours instead of just paying for the whole thing, whether you can listen and not pay or listen and pay. That's the model we're using. The problem with the freemium has always seemed to be we do so much referring to old bits and sketches and things. We wouldn't know what we discussed on the free portion of the show versus the freemium portion, and we wouldn't know if we'd have to re-explain something because people listening to the free person, the free section weren't listening to the paid section. And there was a piece of vital information in the paid section that will now make things make more sense. Do we have to explain it again? It becomes extremely complex and it becomes onerous. And that model always seemed to me to be a bad idea. I like it, and I've talked about it, and it's tempting to do it for DH Unplugged because it's doable with DH Unplugged as follows. We have our goofy whole show, which goes on for 50 minutes. Then we go to the stocks and on our crazy picks, which is part of this game we do on a weekly basis. That could be easily turned into a freemium deal where you don't get to hear about these stocks.
Yeah.
Because, in fact, people who are into financial TV shows or financial newspapers or anything like that, all they want is stock picks. I mean, when I saw Fox Business first come on the scene, I was writing for Market Watch at the time. And I went over there to visit both CNBC and Fox Business. I was in New York. And CNBC is just a slick operation with a lot of very good-looking women, and Fox Business was a kind of had no life, and then I started watching, and Fox Business the amount of stock tips they had was minimal, and I always knew written for Barron's, I've written for Market Watch, I've written for Forbes. I've always known that 90% of the reason anybody reads any of that stuff is for stock tips. So if you go on, if Fox Business comes on, they go, let's talk about personal finances and how you can balance a checkbook for you idiots who never graduated from high school. That sort of thing nobody wants to watch. They want stock tips. Bring on some guy, even if he's nuts, and give us as many stock tips as he can come up with, because that's all these shows are good for, stock tips. And so I always know that the Horowitz Dvorak thing, DH Unplugged, really the stock tips, even though they're not recommendations by any means, they're just stock tips.
Yeah.
Are really what people want. We could do a whole show of that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point though. That model, like that's very.
Have you guys got that monetized at all now?
That model really works. The value for value really works for you guys.
The value for value works. The DH Unplugged does not monetize very well.
Because the model you talked about, the freemium one, works for a lot of people in more of our genre. Like there's a couple of shows that we're pretty close to that do really well on the freemium model, and we get that people saying we should do that as well. But it's we're trying to stay kind of more in.
Give me an example. Give me an example of one show that works, and why does it work?
Because you'd have a sort of a conspiracy theorist, like the Higher Side Chats, for example. He has these guys on, and by the time you're halfway through the interview, it's been a great interview, and the stuff that he leaves is very, very, like, you want to hear the rest of this stuff. I mean, it's pretty, it gets pretty deep into whatever kind of conspiracies you're thinking of, and so people sign up just to hear that second half, and it doesn't have that sort of like housekeeping, I don't know what the right word is, that you're talking about, where all the inside baseball stuff that you might miss, because it's really just an interview style.
It's a show to show.
About that, yeah, it's a show to show type thing.
Each show's semi-standalone. MU does it and does well with it too. I mean, the cutting the interview in half is doing conversion rates, way better than I'm seeing anyone else do.
Yeah, like he's getting like 10% support probably. Was it 10? Is it 5 or 10?
I don't know.
I thought it was up at 10, or was it 5?
It's more than 5.
More than 5. And we're at like 1%. I don't know where you guys are at, but it's the value for value is pretty tough for unless you're really big like you guys. And
I think it's a solid
it can work
base.
Great.
It makes a really solid base.
Yeah.
Well, we've tweaked it, and we've done a lot of research too on the model. And my son, when he was our bookkeeper, Jace Buzzkill Jr., my other son, Eric, is also he's the main bookkeeper, the shill. And when JC was doing these, he felt obliged to do a lot of research. He came up with a lot of documentation for various fundamentals about soliciting money. And of course, we try to use the model we use is somewhere between PBS in the olden days, before they took advertising, and churches, which do very well for themselves considering the number of parishioners in a church in general, although they don't have to pay taxes. But there's a number of little gotchas that always crack me up, because people are always suggesting stuff to us. Once you do this, once you do that. And most of it just really hasn't been an idea in the last few years that we haven't considered or know the reason that we can't do it that way.
Yeah.
A good example is the 501c3. Why don't you guys become nonprofit so you can so people get a tax write-off when they donate? Well, my son found an obscure paper, a marketing paper, that showed solid evidence that if all things are equal, the nonprofit is you have two exactly the same operations. One's a 501c3 and the other one's just a for-profit operation like our show. The for-profit operation will always bring in more money.
Yeah.
And then so why would you do the 501c3? No reason. It's crazy. And the other thing is that it's a paperwork nightmare. You have to register all these paperwork. I mean, it's already bad enough, just the stuff we have to do, but then to do a 501c3 or any of these other ones, C4 or whatever, it's just a lot of paperwork unless you have somebody that likes doing that kind of paperwork working for you, which we don't have. So there's a lot of little things and one of the things that when we started doing the model, I said something, and I'm still convinced of it, because a lot of people could do this model, but they don't want to do the model. They think it's beneath them, and so they won't do it. They won't even try it, which is really the flaw here with the people that think it's beneath them. And so one of the things I always said is if you're going to do it, you got to do it seriously. So you ask people for money, you ask them directly, and you ask them, as much as you can. And now we also have the newsletter, which tries to remind people we got a show here and we need more money. And you just really have to keep doing that constantly. We always amused by the one or two guys who come in. Well, if you weren't begging for money all the time, I'd give you some money. If you stop begging for money, I'll give you money. That's hilarious. We stop begging for money, and you give us. The thing is, he won't even give us the money. Then this guy. I mean, they're always. People are looking. There's two things we noticed. One, if you're going to do a model like this is an educational podcast.
Well, we do it, so it's good. This is our model.
If you want to do a model like this, one, or two things you should know. People are constantly looking for an excuse not to donate. Any excuse they have not to donate, they'll use that, and they won't donate. And most people don't donate. Now, the other thing that's interesting, which is less understood, people are always looking for an excuse to donate. And which makes, if you think about it, the two kind of contradict each other, but it's not necessarily true. If you give them an excuse to donate, they will donate. And so that's why we try to find any excuse we can. 10-10 day was recently. We have our anniversary coming up next Thursday, 11 years of doing the podcast. We'll get a lot of donations. People could send us some money in tomorrow for the 11th anniversary and say, hey, happy anniversary. Some people do that. But no, most people will wait. And they'll wait on. So Thursday we'll get a lot of interest. We'll probably do well on Thursday because people are, and there's some superstition involved with a lot of this too. Well, I want to do it on the day it's actually the anniversary show. So people are looking for an excuse to donate. People are looking for an excuse not to donate. You have to come up with a lot of gimmicks. We don't come up with as many as we'd like to. I mean, I think we do maybe 2 a month that are kind of like, we're always looking for the palindrome or something, or some anniversary of something screwy that happens to be on the show. 420 days, always a good one. Just a bunch of things, and people, oh yeah, I'll give them some money for 420. It's really it's a never-ending situation, and if you're going to do it that way, you have to do it. It's kind of fun on the one hand, but it's it's a little. You have to shake your head a lot because it's like, what? Why did this fail?
Yeah.
We just got a 1-star review for all our begging for money. Yeah.
Nice. So you guys have found something special, though. I mean, it's a formula that works for you guys. I do know some other podcasts that have tried not so much the value for value part of it, but the deconstruction part of it. I mean, I think that's really, really, you guys have found a special thing here where you guys have your pair well off of each other. You got your clips, you got your deconstruction, and it ends up where after years, it's been pretty similar. Like since I've been listening 5-6 years, it's been very similar format, and it's turned into being very helpful for a lot of people, like, hundreds of thousands of people probably. It's helping.
Well, after the election, especially.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting is so you guys have been deconstructing news for a decade and showing how hypocritical and how much bullshit this is, and then now all of a sudden that the whole thing has changed after the election. All of a sudden, you're called a Trump apologist and all this kind of stuff when you're just doing the same stuff you've been doing overall, but now it's so much worse.
Well, yes, the news is worse. They're targeting Trump, and if you're going to deconstruct it at all, you got to point that out. And everyone said, well, I mean, I do not talk to one. I'm in California, so there's not a day goes by where I don't hear somebody saying something that is just a lie. It's not that Trump's lying all the time. It's that the news media, I think, is lying more than he is about him lying because they don't get his lies correct.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to call somebody up for lying about something, at least be specific. Don't just generalize. Say he hates all women and he's a liar. Well, if he hates all women, does he say he hates all women? And if he does and he's a liar, does that mean he loves all women? I mean, come on, let's get these stories straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Or find something else to do with your time is what I like to think. So, yeah, we look like Trump apologists because we give Trump grief for situations and we also see him as a humorist and consider
he's like a troll, I think, almost at some level.
There's a troll aspect to him, that's for sure. but he's funny within a structure that he likes. He's not like, I don't know if he could do the kind of quick repartee that Obama could do when he went on these talk shows. Obama's quick, and his timing was better than Trump's timing is okay, but Obama's timing was fabulous, and Trump's also has his timing is a little, and his style's a little. Well, we've pointed this out from the beginning. It's Mussolini. He likes to turn to the side and turn his head up and look at him. Mussolini has done this move a million times. He doesn't quite get as animated as Mussolini did, but there's a Mussolini aspect to his public speaking. Mm-hmm. And he's got the big crowds because they condemn him for this. Oh, people are there because he's a dictator. He's not a dictator. You can't be a dictator in this country. You can tell how little he can actually get done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean this is irresponsible to be calling him that. I think it's disingenuous to, the way they call him out for stuff he didn't do and everything, every little thing. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't help anything. And we're not getting good news in this country. There's stories, we do them every week or every couple of shows. We'll run off a whole bunch of stories you never heard of that are dynamite stories if you were running a newspaper.
Yeah.
Nobody picks them up. They don't care. They just want to bash Trump.
So, I mean, you guys have been doing this for like many years, like I said, and John, Adam, your co-host, has always been sort of more known as more of a conspiracy theorist than you, the crackpot, and you're the buzzkill, but you're pretty.
You're the crackpot in Grimerica, just so you know.
Thanks, buddy. But your take on conspiracies has shifted a little bit over the years, I think. I mean, how have you changed after analyzing the lies in the media for so long and going over all this? Has your worldview shifted quite a bit, or?
I don't think so.
No?
Now, the thing about me not being a crackpot early on and being the buzzkill is because Adam was a genuine crackpot. The kind of conspiracy theories that we both agree on are pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But he was at the time, he was going to meet an alien one day. If you remember in the early years, there's some alien, and of course they never got to meet this alien. And he believed that there was some secret to burning water for gasoline, and he put it on his car, and he was driving around claiming he was getting better gas mileage. He knew he was. So did you measure the gas mileage? No, I just know I'm getting better. So that was all to me extremely crackpotty. And so he's dropped off a lot of these things. We don't get as much alien stuff anymore.
You've kind of met in the middle a little bit.
Well, I think I don't know what I don't know why it just changes naturally, but I don't think that I'm anymore, because I will come up with some gems that I think are cool conspiracy ideas. But you could find that in my writing back in the 80s at PC Magazine. I had some crazy theory about Ballmer and Microsoft and what they were really up to and all this other stuff. And I got a note, I think, from Ballmer saying, if we had enough time in the day to do all that stuff you're describing, it'd be great, but we don't.
Has Adam ever come in with a coffee enema story?
No, not yet.
It's something else. It's something to come into. Just what it sounds like.
Yeah.
The Israeli moon basis has been a kind of
the Israeli moon base was an early one that he threw out during his crackpot era. And of course, then he forgot that he said it or denied it. I don't know. Somebody finally found the reference, and it actually said it: Israeli moon bases. And I guess that was probably the epitome of that era. We're not really. And once in a while he throws, and I do too. I'm always referring to reptilians. So it's not like neither one of us completely ignore the humorous and the possible aspects of the crazy stuff. And it is entertaining, and there may be reptilians, and it also refers back to David Icke, who is the promoter of the reptilian theory, probably above all. And David Icke, if you ever listen to one of his speeches, they're an hour or so. He has some long
He packs
arc
them
things
in, that guy, man. It's crazy.
Well, because if you ever listen to one of these things, it's jaw dropping. He is really a good public speaker. He knows how to organize a speech. He knows how to, put two and two together in a way that comes out to be five somehow, but it works. And he's the one that keeps talking about the reptilians. I mean, he's totally convinced that and I think he's sincere, that the Queen Elizabeth and that royal family, for the most part, are lizards.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sounds good.
I like it. Yeah. What do you think is the craziest conspiracy that you do buy into, or that you're willing to admit buying into?
Well, if I buy into it, that means I don't think it's that crazy.
That's right. Something that we might think. Well, we're not going to think it's crazy, but something.
Yeah, you're not a good reference point.
Yeah. Something
I know
that
there's
10
a lot
years
of stuff
ago
that
John would think is crazy.
I know there's a lot of stuff I will bring up to LibJoe friends, and they look at me like I'm nuts, and I have to start documenting it. And I can't think of any. I mean, it's not a question I'm prepared to answer.
No, you don't. I mean, the thing is, nowadays you don't even need to go to that level of because there's so many just basic ones out there that as you guys come across these as you're deconstructing the media, I mean, everything is. Well,
here's a good one.
It's a conspiracy to deceive and lie, and I mean, there's so much stuff just right out there in plain sight now.
Do you think that a lot of these things, like the student loan and the student debt thing, for example, you used to be able to go to school as free. You could try out all these different things that have given you the ability to, ultimately pursue an entrepreneurial lifestyle. And these kids today are getting sold that the only way they've got a future is if they get into these colleges, and these colleges cost a fortune. And then they get out of these colleges and they're saddled with a ton of debt that they cannot get out from underneath. And so, your chances at starting your own thing after that are slim to none. I mean, I was reading something the other day, and I was talking about the percentage of business owners that don't have any college, that were to have high school and that's it. And I can't remember the exact number, but it was over half. And it's just like, is something like that just a bunch of humans trying to make their own thing, and it just kind of accidentally turns into this disgusting bureaucracy where everyone's greedy? Or do you think it's something sort of behind the scenes sinister, where if we do saddle these people with debt, we've just got them by the balls?
If I was writing a science fiction about the situation, I would go with the theory that it was a bunch of creeps making this happen. I think in reality, it's just opportunism. And the kind of people that are running the universities. I mean, why is Janet Napolitano given the job of running the entire University of California system? It's all those schools we have. Not Cal State, but University of California. I think it's a lot of opportunists. I think there's been opportunists ever since 9/11. I mean, the whole what Cherkoff has done by starting these companies that make the scanners for the airports and things like that. It's just a bunch of opportunists taking advantage of the situation, and they don't have any real. They don't have public consciousness. I don't know why they can't see how bad these things that they're doing are for the public at large. They don't seem to care. Maybe it's the lizards.
Well, it's funny because that's my take on I go back and forth, but a lot of the time my take on the Illuminati or whatever people want to call it is that, is it an actual that, or is it just a bunch of, like you would say, on a bigger scale, opportunists, but on the global scale? But some of that, when you look at the media, it's tough to think it's not at least a team.
I think you have to look at we look at the media and find all the people that are obviously CIA or military intelligence working in it. It's pretty obvious.
Oh, that last list,
the
that Adam
Soros
did
list,
was fantastic.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the latest.
No, the one that Adam talked about on the show, I think it was at the end of one of your last shows. It was everybody.
The Soros that was on a Soros board.
Yeah, on the board.
On the board of a Soros company and a journalist.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a good example. Yeah. But you got the Council on Foreign Relations, which is a conflict of interest with anybody as a reporter, and you can go through the membership roster is not a secret. They have it on the website, and you can just go from A to Z. There's 10,000 names on it, but you can go right through and you go, oh my God, I didn't know that she was a member. Oh, whoop, there's another one. Isn't
Alex Jones on that one? Or no, he's on the CNP one, right?
I don't know what Alex Jones is on, but I know he's not on CRC. He's not
He's
on the
on
council.
something.
He's on something, that guy.
So, because I've heard some people that say there's some shadiness with the CNP, I think, which is national policy, and that them and the CFR are always kind of battling each other.
Could be. I know that when you read Foreign Policy, the CFR's publication, you are reading, I think, reports that are for the, it's not like there's a central command that tells everyone what to do. Once you start to think a certain way, you get your marching orders from these magazines. They tell you how you're supposed to think about something, and you think about it that way. And you reflect it in an article or whatever you're doing, or you just reflect it. But maybe by not hiring somebody. There's a lot of ways, but yeah, I think there's a lot. There's some of that going on. I think you can't put your finger on a person. I don't think it's Jacob Rothschild that's, calling in. I don't even think the guy knows how to use a phone, and he doesn't care. But there's the Rothschild interests, sure.
What about a Soros type character? He seems to come up a lot. He's like, I think I've heard Soros mentioned on, at least 50% of the episodes.
We love talking about Soros, but again, even with him, I think he's just one of these guys who knows who to feed money to. There's a number of extremely radical people out there, and if they got some organization and you drop $1 million into it, Soros doesn't have to do anything other than that. It'll take care of itself. The maniac that's running the thing is a left-wing kook or whatever he is, and he's going to, a great organizer, who knows, and he's going to take care of it. He's going to dish the money out to other people, and it can cause a ruckus. And I don't think Soros does much more than look at hedge fund, opportunities personally, but he does have the money that he's feeding to these creeps. Yeah. And it gets filtered all over the place. He doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I've been overboard a couple times myself not because of you guys, but just because I need a break from the news and the current events and all that, because it is pretty negative and it can be pretty depressing. And we hear you guys talk a lot on the show about, it's enlightening in a way for sure, but it can be, depressing. But you're the one that's sifting through it all. And how do you maintain some measure of, not even positivity, or just staying in the middle on this stuff and not getting too bogged down on that? I mean, I don't know if I could do it.
Well, by the way, what you're describing is the reason we're not Trump apologists. We seriously we're not affected by this. I mean, we can be outraged by the gall of some news organization, and we do get irked about some of it, but it's not like it's bothering us, because the way I see it is that all this action that's going on with the news and the riots and the mobs and the shout them down and get in their face and the Maxine Waters and all these other morons, is that it's really, if you look outside, it's like, I don't know, the freeway's still going on. The salt, by the way, the flats are still doing mud flats. It's really bad today. It's really muddy. Looks like the ocean's going down, if you ask me. And so you see the data, unless people are fighting in the streets or there's bullets flying, I don't see why anyone gets worked up about any of this stuff. And that's the way I think Adam feels the same way too. I mean, he gets annoyed if you get run over by a scooter, or you step in some dog poop in San Francisco.
Or human poop. Human poop, you mean?
You human poop. That's what I meant. But no, so we don't, it doesn't, we just happen to have the right temperament to do this. If we were, had an agenda, or if we had a perspective, a partisanship perspective that we took seriously, it would be more difficult. I would say yes, but we don't. We just pretty much laugh about it. We just think this is humorous. We get to go, you listen to somebody's talking, and then they're like the Al Gore thing. I think was pretty funny. Listen to the guy laughing in the middle of a word because it was his tell that he's lying. This is kind of fun to bring these little topics up and see what the hell's going on. And micro expressions seem to be like my next. I got to get into that a little more. I didn't realize most of the guys who are professionals at spooks that do that kind of work where they can tell somebody's lying. It's really all based on micro expressions.
Yeah.
Because you just have one little thing, it's just one. It's quick, and if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. So it's probably good to know that the art is available to find out.
Yeah, well, those are some gems. I mean, that Al Gore one was fantastic, 4 or 5 tells, and I mean, we've been on the climate change thing for quite a while, and you guys always, you have some other ones like the Lear Foundation one is really, really critical one.
Oh yeah,
for
it's
me,
a favorite.
But it's all the stuff you got to sift through to get to those gems, and I don't know how you do it.
Well, we get some guests out of you guys too. I mean, we had Easterbrook on, we had Perkins on, and I mean, we've talked to quite a few people now at this point that have said that you need to be worried more about global cooling again than you do about global warming.
Well, probably. I have my basic theory. There's a crackpot theory. I would, if I can be a crackpot once in a while, I would say something like, and I think I've done this on the show, which is, all these guys that are into global warming, they're the same guys who want the population of the world to be down to 500,000. We have too many people. So what better way to wipe out most of the public by creating global cooling by implementing things to stop global warming, which should trigger global cooling. And it's just a method to kill us all.
Yeah, all the geoengineering.
So that to me seems like, in fact, I was at some event, and it was in Korea. It was an event with some NASA guy. I was sitting with one of the NASA guys, and he said he never heard of this guy, who this guy was. But you've heard this process. This is a global warming thing that you may have heard. The idea is to send a bunch of missiles into the upper atmosphere and shoot out a bunch of, tinfoil, like tons and tons of it, so the sun can't hit the Earth, and it'll stop the global warming. And I'm thinking, what madman? Yeah, what could go wrong? What madman would come up with this sort of an idea? And then to watch the audience clap over, oh, what a great idea! Anything to stop global warming. We're all going to die. I'm thinking, oh my God, these people, it's horrible. So it's hard to take them seriously. But I would say, especially where I am, I would doubt although a lot of people won't admit it, that they think the whole thing's bull crap. But generally speaking, they're all in on, we're all going to die because of global warming. And I point out my mud flats out here. Yeah. Still there.
Yeah.
Nothing's going on. I don't see any rising seas. It should have been going on for like the last 50 years. The sea should have been rising. I'm not seeing any. Yeah. I mentioned this on the show, and I mentioned it again. Somebody sent me a U.S. Geo surveys, one of those U.S. Geological Survey maps, the current one for my area, and one from 1880. And the mud flats are exactly the same. Yeah. So, okay, come on. We're 130 years and nothing's changed.
Well, that's just it's just getting higher in the poor countries.
Oh, on the other side, maybe somewhere else, or maybe it's the thing that I lost track of, and I wish I could find it. I'm gonna have to find it. Is one of these guys came up with it? Well, the reason the oceans aren't rising because somebody else has noticed this is because Australia is acting like a huge sponge.
Miami too.
Well, I like the one about why they are in certain spots is because of the sand that they're selling. I mean, you guys talked about that on an episode, and I think that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, you dig up your island.
Maldives specifically.
All the sand, and there's nothing left. The island's gone, and it gets washed over. Oh my God, we need money because of
we got to buy a bunch of
rising seas. Yeah, so, we could talk. Yeah.
So the one thing I want to mention before we wrap this up, we don't want to keep you too long, is that this whole censorship thing. Darren kind of touched on it at the beginning, and I don't know if you got some more stuff.
Deplatforming, yeah. Well, we kind of sidetracked from that because it turned out you probably weren't censored. You were just, but. Do you guys worry about that? I mean, you guys are mostly self-sufficient, I think, right? Like, it'd be tough to censor you guys. They could take you at iTunes, but it wouldn't stop you.
But is it going to lead to government regulation? Like, where is this going to go now with all this?
Well, they would like it to. I don't think it's going to get any worse than it is, personally. Now, it's possible. We do have, we're a little concerned, obviously, because we get our PayPal cut off, and that's like, I'd say probably 2/3 of our income. And that wouldn't be good. And PayPal has done that.
Yeah, that's the.
But,
scary.
they haven't done it with us. And I work with them. I talk. They seem like an okay operation as far as I'm concerned. And but there are alternatives that are out there that we could jump to if we had to. We have a slight loss. We get a lot of checks, which helps. And
do you think that's where the value for value model makes a difference? Like, do you think because the way I look at it is a guy who's paying $5 a month for the freemium model is probably less likely to send you a bunch of post-dated checks or something. Whereas the value, like, there seems to be this community that comes along with value for value that seems to have something different to it than some of the other communities I've poked my nose into.
Well, everybody is going to do it a little differently anyway. Everyone's going to podcast a little differently. I always like to relate the story that when I did my telecommunications book in the 80s, I was sent on a book tour around the country, and I went to probably 30 or 40 radio stations to sit on different shows. And it was like you go from station to station. There's not one station that looks anything like the other stations. They're all distinctively different. Every single one of them they're hooked up differently. They got different mics. Everything's different. It's nothing even close to being the same. And I think that's the same with value for value. It's the same for podcasting. This is kind of an area where it's amenable to just everyone doing their own version of something. And so, and whether or not value for value would save you if you were censored into oblivion, not if you lost your PayPal account, it wouldn't save you necessarily. Although you could make you can kind of you can hang in there. We've gone to the point we have our own servers. We don't use any of the systems that are commercially available. I don't trust any. I don't trust Patreon for sure. And I definitely don't trust any of these networks. So we have our own servers. We have our own chat system. Everything we do is
self-hosted.
Yeah, so everything's self-hosted. We do. A lot of it has to because Adam is a kind of an audio junkie. He's like really good at producing, and he likes a certain sound, and he's enthusiastic about it. But he's also like me, live to tape, which means that we don't rehearse anything. We don't even talk to each other and
edit.
We don't do any editing unless there's some horrible thing and it happens, like we lose a connection, which has happened recently. So there's no editing and there's no making it, gussing up the show.
That's what people like about it, though. I mean, that's it's the genuineness, the authenticity that comes off and comes across for people, and that's what people are craving right now. I mean, even all these NPR style podcasts and all these other people that are gussing it all up, it just doesn't sound right to me. It just sounds all
it sounds like repurposed radio.
Exactly, yeah.
And not only radio, but repurposed, NPR style radio with a very quiet sound, and they have a certain distinctive style, and they all copy it, and it's like it's tedious. It's a little too much. It's a little too much whispering into the mic. A little too much. Yeah. And it's a little too, and the room's a little too dead.
Yeah.
Could it be any more dead? Yes, it could. I could be dead. So, and some of these guys are. Yes. So there's not a real concern of ours, even though it's always a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good to know. Because we go back and forth on the PayPal thing too. And we're always sort of looking at backup plans and things like that. I mean, I think self-hosting all of our stuff is the ultimate goal. I mean, the YouTube, if they shut that down, whatever, they can have it. I wouldn't bother.
They can.
Yeah. And then, but the audio stuff we would like to eventually, I mean, we've gone to the point of getting, multiple people all over in different parts of the world to have a copy of all the shows and do some torrenting and stuff like that. But ultimately we'd like to get to that same where we host everything ourselves, even though I think, I trust
you don't have to worry
too.
about anything. It's highly recommended. I think the way we do this show, and actually DH Unplugged to a lesser extent, it's pretty standalone. It's modern. There's no reason to be, part of the old system that is what Adam's always complaining about with some justification, a lot of justification. He's been part of it. The old system of, let's put something together. And there's that show, that podcast, the God Touched Me or whatever is on CBS, that whatever network it is that has that show. The guy's a podcaster. There's a bunch of these. The guys are podcasters. TV. I'm a podcaster. You watch it, you go, there's no. This guy's not a podcaster. Everything he's doing is nothing like a podcaster would do. And you don't go around begging at somebody, would you buy my podcast? You know, that sort of thing. The whole thing is disingenuous. It's coming from nonsense, imaginary. But because and it's old fashioned. The modern way is to do everything yourself. You can do it. You can do your own thing. You can get a domain name. You can put it up somewhere. You can get some web, some guy just got a server with some extra space on it. You can always mooch, somebody else's system. They'll help you out if they like you. I've, always had good luck getting high quality connectivity without going nuts and spending too much money on something that's not worth it. Yeah. Anyway, you guys are doing okay.
Is there anything else, Darren, you want to touch on before we let him go?
Yeah, maybe just what do you think, maybe an inside track on what we should look for in the future? I know the pipelines was a big one. What do you think about this? Did you hear about the $1 billion lawsuit in China over vaccines? Do you think that's got anything to do with the fentanyl comments? Or give us a little tidbit before we wrap up.
That's actually what you just said. I didn't even think that, but I think you're onto something. Hey. I like it. Sounds good.
Perfect.
I think, it's going to the problem is the landscape's going to change dramatically after these elections.
The November elections, or?
Yeah. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be this, contemplating your navel. There's going to be a lot of self-examination on both sides. They're going to, what could we have done better? And they're going to worry about, and before they get back onto their trying to, talk about impeaching Trump. Of course, they're never going to do it because they don't want to impeach Trump because he's a convenient foil. They think that it's a benefit. So I think things will kind of calm down after November. So it's going to be kind of a quiet, I'm guessing, and not something I'm hoping for necessarily because I like, a lot of action going on. It's good for the show. But I'm guessing we're going to get right through the Christmas season and everybody's going to be happy. Go right into the next year, and then things will start up again.
You think Trump will do anything with pot?
With what?
With marijuana?
Well, probably not while Jeff Sessions is an AG. I think he might eventually, but not with Sessions. The Senate wants to do something. There's a couple of bills pending that are just going to legalize it. And if that passes, then you're going to end up with a very interesting situation. Because they're still fighting it. They're like we talked about in the last show. We talked about the edibles are now being considered. They're trying to ban them in Washington State.
That's terrible. That's one of my favorite reasons to go to Washington State.
They have good edibles too. There's a lot of brands.
Theirs is still illegal in Canada. You get up to 14 years in jail. If you make your own edibles, that's fine at home. But if you get caught giving edibles to someone else, look out.
Huh.
Up to 14 years in jail. If you get caught with illegal weed, up to 14 years in jail. Concentrates.
No, a lot of illegal weed, not under 30.
Anything over an ounce, yeah.
Oh, these will resolve themselves.
Yeah, I was wondering, because how did Washington start out? Was it because I didn't get down to Washington until it was well established, and it seems like right now, like they've got it figured out. And at 50% tax or whatever it is, I mean, they got to be doing okay.
Well, I think Colorado's the one who figured it out the best. And so nobody's talking about them.
$1 million a day,
which indicates to me that they figured it out. Washington figured it out. They kind of followed Colorado's model. And then they set up these little stores everywhere. And then the stores for the first couple of months, if you ever went past one of them, there'd be a line a mile long. Because everyone thinks, everyone's, let's go. I'll stand in line for 2 days if I have to because I don't think this is going to last. And so that ended, and now they have shops everywhere. To grow a lot, you get permits to grow, and they have shops everywhere. And you go to these shops, and the places are filled with old women, mostly. There's a few hey man, okay. Well, you got any bud? There's a bunch of those guys, but not as much as there are old women, arthritic old women. And they find that they need the creams and they need the edibles with a lot of CBD. And most of the guys who work in these shops tell you that you need THC with the CBD for it to be fully effective. So you're going to get stoned whether you like it or not. But these old women, I don't see how they're going to put up with any of this where they're going to make them pull back on the edibles, because the edibles is where most of the CBD stuff comes from. Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I waited in a line yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, I won't go back. I just did it for, we really wanted to go down and it's a big event. So we went and waited in the line and bought some. And then I'll go back to my guy. He's about a third the price and it doesn't have to wait in line. And it doesn't have Monsanto approved or Monsanto made pesticides on it. Yeah,
you're a cynic. You're a cynic. The lines will go away after about 2 months.
And
then you can go get some edibles. They should have edibles. By then, you should change the Canadian law.
Yeah, they said about a year before edibles and concentrates. But I'll tell you what, if Buzzkill's calling me a cynic, then I got problems. It says here that
it was obvious to everybody.
July 2018, $25 million in tax revenue from cannabis in Colorado.
25 million?
Yeah, nothing to sneeze at.
Jeez, that's not too bad.
Take 2 years here before we profit.
2 years before we profit? Yeah.
They sold out already. Day 2, a bunch of places ran out.
Yeah, but most of that money's going to like the police and the government and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, we might as well wrap it up there, John, and let you get your dinner going. We thank you for the time you took to come to Grimerica. Maybe now we'll be able to coax Adam into making an appearance as well. We do get constant emails and tweets and Facebooks to get on the guys. So
yeah, we have a lot of listeners.
You beat me down.
A lot of listeners listen to your show. We talk about it all the time. And I forgot. I
appreciate publicity.
I meant to steal something from Adam and say John C. Dvorak, and the C stands for Canadian accent. And I was going to ask you to do your accent to the whole
Canadian.
show.
I've been to Canada enough that I can talk a little like they talk up there.
We'll send you a toque.
Next time the whole show. Yeah, we should send him a toque. Yeah. Yeah, thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks for coming on the
guys,
show.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for No Agenda.
See ya. Yeah.
That was our chat, the much anticipated chat with John C. Dvorak of the No Agenda Show.
That was good. That was one I was a little nervous for, more than usual. And then, of course, we get in here, computer's starting up properly.
Yeah. Brody comes in and just starts working instantly.
He's like right ahead of schedule. He calls us 5 minutes before we're starting. And,
that was good. We're running late, and he calls us 5 minutes early. Yeah. But that's okay. It all worked out. No, it's
great. I wanted to get out of him his words in the description of what the No Agenda Show is. I mean, that's the reason we had him on, mainly for that show, not so much for his other podcast, which I'm sure some people do listen to. But we didn't really get around to it. But I wanted him to describe it. But I mean, I think throughout the conversation, we figured out it was probably pretty obvious for people that it's deconstruction of the mainstream media, really, for the most part, which leads to a whole bunch of areas and a whole bunch of interesting topics.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously it's a show we look up to and. Try and emulate with our value for value model. That's where we got the concept, and they're definitely someone that helped us pave the way to get to where we are today. So who knows what the fuck we be doing.
Yeah, no, it is true. And what's funny is I remember hearing about them before.
Don't point at me.
This isn't pointing at you. You have to. I'm not pointing at you.
You're just pointing at me.
It's still funny every time.
I'm not pointing
every
at
time
you.
That happens. I get a giggle.
Oh, jeez. See now I want to use my hands. Okay. I gotta fucking put my hands.
It's a podcast. Sit on them.
When I first heard about them before I moved to Calgary, I could not find them. I don't think they were in the iTunes directory way back when. I should have asked them that.
I had to take a picture of you podcasting with your hands behind your back. Yeah, they were there right away when I searched for them.
Yeah, that would have been years. But I mean,
later.
This would have been probably 2008 or 9, I think. Don't put it anywhere.
Too late.
Oh, So, anyways, yeah, big thanks to John for coming on.
Huge
They have
thanks
been
to
they have
John.
been an inspiration, and they really do have an amazing thing in there.
No, I always assumed it would be
man.
Adam
The community's
first.
awesome. Yeah, me too.
I always assumed it would be Adam.
But
first.
Adam didn't want John to come on.
Adam didn't even want
maybe
John to
that's-
come on.
Maybe that's
so,
why.
yeah,
Maybe that's why he wanted to come on first.
maybe. I wanted to see what John said before he came on.
In a lot of ways, we're not really in the same genre as John, especially, But
No, but the amount of crossover
It's
is
pretty-
you
it's
can't
pretty big.
ignore the amount of crossover between the audiences. I mean, obviously our audience is only a fraction of theirs,
yeah,
but it's probably less noticeable for them.
Yeah.
But for ours, it's a measurable percentage.
yeah, definitely.
Like, I would say 2 or 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
It seems like anyway, but maybe they're just the loudest people in the room
Yeah, maybe.
with their no agenda thinking.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, value for value. Support the show because it's a value for value model, and there's only so many of them. We're like a church, motherfuckers. Church podcast. We don't get a tax break. We just get a bill.
We're in between the church and PBS. No, that's
There you
them.
have
That's
it.
them.
Anyhow, support the show because we're trying to make this value for value thing work, and I think it's important for the future. And ultimately, the goal is to get self-hosted and stuff like they're doing, but that all costs a lot more money than we can afford to put out right now. We still got we're about halfway to the people on the wall, so a lot of work to do there. Jordan's doing a great job helping out with that, and the website and everything else is still ongoing, and it looks great. So thanks to everyone for supporting that and bearing with us as we do the turnover and work out the bugs and all that. But yeah, it's been going great. Things are great. We appreciate you motherfuckers, especially the ones that support. All right, guys. Did you just take a picture of me? Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Oh, you're the caption of fucking most funny pictures ever.
I should really be a photographer.
Look at it.
You look like you're arrested.
Deer in the headlights.
Oh, man. You look pretty special. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If anyone's wondering what I'm talking about, they have to join the chats, grimerica.ca/chats. And there's a pretty good picture of Graham in there right now. And thanks to you guys for tuning in live, even though we came in rammy and late and all that shit as usual.
It went pretty smooth.
Went
Yeah,
not
it
bad.
did. It was good after we got going.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
That's it.
Sure.
Okay. Well, welcome back, John, to Grimerica. How's it going today?
Good. It's raining. We're getting some rain finally. Unlike you guys who just get nothing but rain.
Yeah, exactly. It's been requested that you do the whole show in your Canadian accent.
Oh, I could try, but I'm not sure that I can pull it off for a whole hour.
Eh?
Hey, maybe.
So John is, famous from the No Agenda show. We'll talk about mainly that. I mean, we don't need to see other stuff. We want to promote your show, on here. We talk about it enough, and we have a bunch of people that listen to your
I
show
also had the
from our
DHM
show.
plug show that could use a little plug.
True. How's that one going?
No Agenda is the pluggable show. Yeah.
How's the DH going?
It's doing well. We've been doing that for over a decade. Keeps me in the financial side, kind of, so I'm not just forgetting everything. I used to write
Right.
for Barron's and Smart Business and some of these financial publications, and I think there was another one, and I didn't want to. Oh yeah, I wrote for Forbes for a couple of years, so I didn't want to completely lose touch with that. I don't know. It's you need to keep up.
So what are you guys saying right now? Is there going to be a collapse? Is there a
Nope,
huge
we don't
housing
think
bubble?
so.
No, eh?
No, the only people that think about collapses are people trying to get headlines, going for clicks. If there's going to be a collapse, it'll be after they put Trump in. I think Adam and I are convinced that they're setting Trump up for the collapse. They're just let things get ruined and put Trump in and let him take the heat for it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
It
and he
makes
won't be able to
sense.
handle that.
homeless, immigration, everything. Make him deal with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So
Good
so
way
in
to
that theory, you kind of they want him to be in, I guess.
Well, I don't think I think they're getting coming to the conclusion that
They won't be able to cheat hard enough.
they won't be able to cheat. Right. I mean, the two sides are going to cheat, and so one of them can't cheat enough, and so, and Biden, there's still people that don't think he's even going to be on the ticket.
So what about housing? Like, would you recommend if somebody could afford a down payment for a house these days, even in an inflated market like Vancouver or BC? Would you recommend getting into that?
My recommendation is to always get into real estate.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you got suckered or so. You don't buy a Brooklyn Bridge or anything like that, but buy real estate. Yeah.
Even like the city centers and stuff like that. Or do you think it's safer? Do you think it's safer in the city centers and like a city like, say, like a San Francisco or something like that?
After the whole thing collapses, but not right now.
Not right now, yeah. But like a rural setting.
It looks like a scam. It looks like they're trying to set up these cities so they pretty much collapse and offer these real estate opportunities. That'll be buy low, sell high kind of thing. It's a known fact that people have been doing this to get into real estate cheaper. You screw up the place.
That's kind of exactly what our entire country feels like right now. I mean, anything within an hour of a major city or an hour and a half of a major city is so inflated that you're paying, 70 grand, 80 grand a year in interest when you start out.
Yeah, you have to pick your place.
So how have you seen that before we get into the no agenda side of things, how have you seen that sort of side of things change over the last 40 years? Has it stayed pretty steady with the real estate side of things? Has it, after the collapse in 2008 and sort of this weird stock market thing?
Those collapses are so short-lived, it's ridiculous. Real estate has been, my entire life has been the best investment you could make. The thing that makes it super valuable is the fact that it's leveraged. Unlike, you buy stocks, you can buy some stocks on margin, but it's a pretty minor, the leveraging is minor compared to real estate, which can be, the leverage can be as much as 90%. You can 10% down in some situations. You can take out this huge mortgage and just start paying it off, and the real estate value continues to rise. It's just a super winner. I mean, I bought a place. First real estate I bought was in '72, and I got a house near San Francisco for $22,000 in 1972. That same place today is worth $1.2 million. And so, yeah, there's a couple of ups and downs, but 22,000 to 1.2 million in one piece of property and you leverage it. So my down payment was like 2,500 to maximum. It was, it wouldn't have been over $4,000, but I think it was like 2 or 2,500. I can't remember. It's a while ago, but that kind of leverage. So you're basically investing $2,500, paying rent for all practical purposes, which would be the mortgage, is be about the same price as rent. So for $2,200, you walk away with $1.2 million. I mean, come on.
Even though it's been 50 years.
Well, 50 years is 50 years, but that's that 1.2 million. If it say it stayed there, that's like a retirement. It's a nice lot of money, and you can also take money out as you go along. You can probably pull out $500,000 and spend it. I mean, it's just real estate is just a winner.
Well, plus in that case that you're not mortgage broke. I mean, it's small enough that as you go on through the years, it'll be paid off. I mean,
but of course I did sell it and bought something else. But it's like that's what you do. Yeah, and you ratchet.
So regardless of whether you're going to live in there or not, like if it's a live-in place or an investment, you still like real estate.
It's also pretty cool in California that they freeze the property taxes. So when you move into a place, the property tax is set, and they can't raise it more than just a few points. They can't just jack it up like they do in Washington State and other places. So anyway, that's my investment advice, especially to young people who can't afford, quote unquote, can't afford it, but they can if they scrimp. I mean, anyone can scrimp for like, I'd say up to 5 years. You should be able to put something together.
Yeah.
I've advised people on doing that, and you always, once you're in because it's just as it goes up, you're in, and yours is going up, and whatever else goes up, you can jump to something else and try to maximize everything.
All right. I hope you don't mind if we get into a little bit of inside baseball about podcasting and stuff. I mean, I'm sure people would want to know a little bit about that. But I mean, I do sort of have some overall questions, like about the landscape of the whole podcasting market. Like, what do you think of it nowadays? How it's changed for not just you guys, but for everybody? I mean, it has kind of shifted quite a bit.
I
in the
think it's
last
out of
5 years.
control. There's you know how many podcasts there are out there? Over 4 million.
Yeah.
So every Tom, Dick, and Harry's doing a podcast. Everybody on television's got one or two podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, every celebrity, every news anchor. I mean, I guess the main anchors don't have one, but I don't know that's to be true. But every time I hear some analysis of something, say, "Oh, well, yeah, you should see Jesse's podcast. He's got a podcast." So there's a lot of podcasts out there, and I don't think very many of them are doing that well and could continue forever. They implement, some of them can. I'm very surprised by some of them who do very well all the time, but it's a lot of factors involved. We do ours as a value for value, which we developed as a way of making money, and it's worked out for our podcast. But other people don't take it seriously enough, so it's not everyone's cup of tea to ask for support.
Yeah.
In fact, some people can't even do it. They can't do it. They literally can't ask for support. It's beneath them, and that's what they tell you. Oh, it's beneath me. Okay, well, good. Starve to death. I don't mean it's beneath you. I have to have advertisers.
Dude, the advertising thing is even grosser. It's even grosser. And it's not even the dog food one that you guys read on the show the other day. I mean, that is just pathetic. That's pathetic. But even, I forget what I was listening to the other day. I think it wasn't Tim Pool. It was something, but it was like a decent, you know what it was? It was Canada Land. I was listening to Canada Land. And it's like, it's not even a degrading ad read because he's just reading about a mattress. It's like it's probably a decent mattress, and they gave him a free mattress, but just listening to him read it sounds pathetic. It's degrading.
Well,
just listening to it. I'd rather ask for money than read that fucking ad. It's gross. It sounds just as bad. I don't see how people think that sounds better than asking for money.
Well,
My new mattress. I've never slept so good. Blah, blah, blah. Don't you think?
Yeah, bull crap. So my opinion has always been that, and I worked for Mevio for like a long time, and we did a lot of we had people producing podcasts left and right. And there's this thing amongst advertisers that, it's better if it's called a host read ad. And the host is, supposedly will sell better if I've bought this mouse, and this is the best mouse I've ever owned. And they read the ad, and it's a host read ad, and it's supposed to be better than a produced ad, which in my opinion is the way it should go. I mean, I think somebody produces an ad with a professional announcer and all the rest, it's going to have a better sales angle than a host read ad. But no, they don't think that way. This is these things are faddish. They want because some guys can do them well. And I will say, for example, I worked for Leo Laporte forever at Twit, and Adam and I both agree that the only reason that network and his shows are successful is because Leo is one of the great ad readers. He's like a professional ad reader, and he can do what you just said. He can talk about the getting the best night's sleep ever and sound like he means it. The number of people that are not professional in the business that can pull that off, I don't know any. The guy was in broadcasting his whole life, so he can do that stuff. But most people have never been in broadcasting. They've never taken even a course at a school, or they're just hacks. And so the quality shows.
Well, I think it's the authenticity that they think is going to be like, I'd
Well,
rather have,
you
a
fake it, you
cold,
got it made.
you'd have a cold read from somebody you respect that like really believes in the product, and you kind of think it's realer, and maybe it's I think that's what they're thinking. But the other thing is I didn't want to ask for money either, but I don't think it was because it was beneath me. I think it's just that I had a hard time asking. I don't really know why, I guess,
Because
at
it's
the in the
beneath you.
beginning. And maybe it was you guys, because we listened to you almost right from the start of our show. And maybe it was like listening to you guys that actually sort of helped us get the balls to start asking.
Well, I've always told people that one of the reasons early on when we've been doing it for 16 years, going on 17. And I remember, like, I can go back a decade or say 12 years ago, and we're talking. I talked to people about it. I said, well, the problem that most of the value for value podcasters have is the way they don't ask for money sincerely. It's like, if you can afford it, give us an extra dime. If you get a nickel, instead of seriously asking for money. And that means often scolding people for not giving any money, which is the trick. And that's a hard thing to do because it's like you get even from your own family, you can't talk to people that way. And no, you can talk to people that way because that's in fact the way that most of the solicitors for donations, that's the way they all act. Churches do it. They scold the parishioners. They're not, you don't see people walking out in church when the pastor or whoever it is says, "Hey, we're not getting enough. Can you up the ante a little bit? Maybe cough up a little bit more, like a nickel, a dime, a dollar." You don't see people go, "Oh, this is terrible. He's asking me for this extra money. Forget it. I'm out of here." And then they hit the road. That doesn't happen.
No, instead the basket comes around, and you have to be, if you don't want to chip in, it's pretty obvious because you got to pass the basket by without chipping
Yeah,
in.
there's ways around that. You can usually usually there's
Just put it.
envelopes.
Yeah.
There's always the envelope. You can put nothing in the envelope and just put it in there, and you're good to go.
Just put God bless in there or something.
Yeah, you could do that, but most people don't. Myself and my son, we used to visit it just to check them out. Some mega churches, and mega churches are fascinating. And I always toss in $5 after, just to have for the knowledge that I gain from visiting a mega church and going through their system. I don't have a problem throwing $5 in there because or more, $5 usually, but it's not a big deal. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of spendable income and they don't mind. I mean, some people give us $1,000, $2,000. We've gotten $5, and it's not like somebody else is going to get irked because we call them out for not even giving us $1. We haven't, which is most people. So it takes a little getting used to the techniques and the fundamentals of fundraising, like this sort of fundraising. Once you get used to it, it's pretty good.
Do you find the market itself, like the podcasting market? You mentioned millions of podcasts now. Everybody's got a podcast, literally. Everybody that's been in TV already has a podcast. Do you think that it's saturated from the point of view that people that are going to listen to podcasts have already found it? And like, especially with your show, because you are strictly a podcast, you're not just on all these video platforms. So somebody's not going to find you on a video platform. Have you do you feel like you've tapped that market of people that are going to get a podcast app and find the podcast and use that technology as opposed to just watching it on Facebook, X, or Rumble, or YouTube? Or
no, not at all. I think the market is in its infancy, and we just got started a long time ago because Adam Curry invented podcasting for all practical purposes. I mean, he feels obliged to share this accolade with Dave Weiner, who had something to do with it. But in fact, Adam Curry invented podcasting, and he's the one who's personally taken it to the next level with podcasting 2.0, which is a big deal that is not recognized. I always tell him he should be getting the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize for this. And I'm serious, he should actually. But so we're in very early, and I also was podcasting before I even ran into Adam when I was doing podcasts with Leo. I probably worked on his show for a year before I started doing this stuff with Adam. So we were in early, like super early, and it's like it reminds me of the time when I got into computers. I got into computers seriously in 1976. And I went to the first West Coast Computer Fair, and I was all jacked up about computers, and it all stemmed from the everything in personal computing stemmed from a 1975 article in Popular Electronics, which it highlighted the one of the computers, I think it was the Altair. The Altair was on the cover, and then they talked about personal computing, and so a year had gone by before I had caught on to personal computers. And and I looked back on it, I said, a year has gone by, and I said to myself, holy mackerel, am I late on this? I've blown it. A year has gone by, and I'm way behind. I'm a year behind. Well, that's an attitude you can take if you look at it objectively. We've been doing it for 16 years, going on 17 for the No Agenda Show. It's in its infancy, as far as I can tell. I mean, yeah, there's 4 million podcasts, and everybody's trying to do it, and everyone wants to do it, but it hasn't settled down in any way, shape, or form. And it is a kind of a technology that is pushing the mainstream media a little bit, because if you look at the stats of people trusting mainstream media, and especially in the United States, when it's only owned by two or three corporations or so, and they push the same agenda and do the same stories, which we mock on our show. The public is looking for other outlets for news analysis, in particular, instead of the stuff that they're getting on TV, surrounded by advertisements for pharma mostly. Big pharma has literally captured the media since they were allowed to advertise prescription drugs beginning around 1983. And they are the ones calling the shots. So you can't, if they tell you, why don't you go out and plug some RSV vaccine, we just came up with it, plug it a lot in your shows, they kowtow to whatever the pharma guys want. We can't put up with that.
So especially with Vivek now and Bobby the Op saying that podcasting is going to be the way they go. I mean, that's some pretty big name guys like saying that we have to spend more time on podcasts. I mean, that's what people are wanting. So,
well, they have to spend more time on podcasting because the mainstream media, especially with Bobby the Op, the mainstream media is not amenable to having them on at all. So luckily there is podcasting they can fall back on, and the audience is pretty damn big. I mean, Joe Rogan probably has 10 million people that listen to his show daily. And that's a lot more than any of these cable TV networks. They have 2 million people, at the most. You have the MSNBC folks. They once in a while they'll pop over 1 million, but most of the time it's between 300,000 and 800,000, which is it's just considering all the money that goes into those productions is not that many.
Well, what's the Super Bowl even? I mean, Rogan's doing like
the Super Bowl's like 20, 30 million, something like that.
Yeah, so
30.
he's doing 2 Super Bowls a week.
Yeah, it's pretty astonishing, actually.
I tend to agree with that infancy thing. I mean, there is the 4 million. I mean, I bet you 3 million of them don't get past episode 10. I mean, I forget what the stat was years ago, but it was something like 70% of podcasts never get to the 10th episode. And it's funny because we had a buddy who started a show and he quit on 7, which I think was the number that they said was the average number that.
Yeah, they can't do it.
Most shows quit on. It's not easy to go 10. I mean, we've only been doing it 10. We did it when we started. I want to say it was inside the first year. we actually went on some other podcast that is now defunct. And they mentioned we hadn't come up with a monetization model yet. We didn't know what we were going to do. We had just figured out that there was some real expenses to podcasting, not just including the time, the hosting was going out. You know, there's all these little expenses that you don't expect. And all of a sudden the show was costing us, you know, a few $100s a month. And we were discussing how to monetize it. And we went on some show, and it was after the show. They're like, you guys got to check out this No Agenda show. See, they're doing this value for value thing. I want to say you guys were on like episode 600 or 600 and something at the time. And we've been kind of along for the ride the whole way. We ended up instituting that value for value model. But I tend to agree. I really think, like I was telling Graham the other day, I was like, we've made it through the dry period. In my estimation, I mean, maybe we're still in it, but I feel like there was this weird oversaturation period where everybody's asking for money, and you're one of those people asking for money, but they're listening to 10 people asking for money. Plus, a lot of them are still on cable and this and that and the other, but that's going to settle down with the people that can't hack it. Are already having a share of the market before a lot of these shows are starting. That plays a role. And I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like the pendulum is coming back to where, you know, shows like ours aren't going to be shadow banned as heavily as they are right now.
Oh, that's hard to say. I mean, we never dealt with that because we do our own thing. Literally, we have our own infrastructure. We have our own servers. We serve the show to people internationally usually from servers that are in Canada and Europe. And so we don't worry about any of that. We watch it and we say, oh, that could happen to, you know, if we were going in that direction, that could happen to us. And so we've always shied away from being on a platform that we don't control. And so we didn't pay, we still don't seriously pay much attention to people that get shadow banned or banned. I mean, I have a Twitter account that is obviously on some still. I talked this over with one of the other Twitter people that Erin Elizabeth, in fact, because we've lamented that the two of us have. It appears to be a ceiling to the number of followers we can have, and even when Elon Musk took over, that hasn't changed. And I've concluded that was because there was a piece of code put in there where this guy can't have more than this many followers, and here's how they hard coded it in the system. And when Musk came and fires half the people, nobody knows how to undo that. That's my theory about the ceiling, which won't seem to go in. Mine is at 101.9.
Without manually going into each one. Somebody's got to go in manually and adjust that or something to
if they can even do that. I can't get, Elon kicked me the fuck off, and I can't get back on, and I can't even, I'll email him. I've appealed him probably literally 200 times now. I've tried.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get somebody else to do it for you.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get some sort of like.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm stuck in this jar that I can't get out of.
Yeah, and you got to find somebody outside to do it for you.
Yeah, because within 30 minutes, I get this auto reply that says, "No, you broke the rules, man. You're out. You broke the rules. You're out. You broke the rules."
What rules did you break?
I told you're gonna love this. I told a politician that if she kept getting boosters, it was Rachel Notley, who just retired.
Yeah.
I told her, she was the NDP, the communist leader of the Communist Party in Alberta. And she kept talking about boosters. This was after, people were having trouble after the shots. There's clear evidence.
Too many boosters and you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. So she said she was going to telling people to keep getting boosters. And I was like, you're going to keep getting these boosters.
And why do you keep getting boosters? When the shot doesn't work and the boosters don't work, why do you keep getting them?
So I insinuated she was going to stroke out if she kept getting boosters. And that's what they kicked.
Oh, you said, she's going to stroke out.
He just said until you stroke out. I mean, so it wasn't a threat. It was just. But I'll tell you, people are way worse on there now. And what Darren did is mild compared to the people that are pushing back on the Canadian politicians now. So it's just Darren. I think that's great advice, Darren. You got to get somebody else to apply.
Somebody, if Elon got wind of this, he would just put you right back on. I mean, he doesn't seem like, That's what I think. Some people don't like him. I think he's a funny guy and means well, and he's an exploitative type of person because that's why he does so well by selling electric cars and getting government money, and he really knows how to get government money. The Twitter thing has probably hurt his bottom line and hurt his net worth somewhat because I don't believe he bought Twitter for 44 billion. I think he got money from others and they all put it together and they bought it for some amount of money. I don't know if it was 44 or whatever, but it's not looking good.
Would the banks be involved in a deal that big? Like, cause I just read Trump's books. I'd read them, but he's always talking about. I mean, he's buying all this stuff, and it's like almost all financing. Would the
Oh yeah,
banks
but
be involved?
Trump's a real estate guy and a builder, and so the banks are always in on that. Elon comes out of Silicon Valley, and that is a different mentality. And these are people that know how to get into other people's wallets, which are often fatter than a bank wallet, with less strings attached. So I don't think banks are involved at all.
So what do you want to build on that, Darren? Or?
No, I mean that's a pretty good strategy. I've been busting Elon's balls pretty hard over the. I mean, I do use his internet now that I'm out in the country. I don't really. There's not really another viable choice. The Starlink. I will say the Starlink works pretty good.
Are you on it now?
Yeah, I'm on it right now, and I was having problems with it. Seemed like it was cycling once in a while, but I just got a separate one because if I just like get the kids off of it when I'm doing a show, I don't have any problems. And now I took it off of the Wi-Fi. I figured out that on my computer, because my Mac Mini isn't smart enough for me to turn the Wi-Fi on, but it's also hardwired, so doesn't seem smart enough to use the hardwire if the Wi-Fi is on at all. So I've shut the Wi-Fi off, and I just don't let the kids on the internet while I'm recording. I've ordered a separate Starlink that I can hook up just for my office. But yeah, I got to say, overall, other than uploading, which can be a bit of a pain, I've been extremely satisfied with the Starlink.
Well, Adam has it, and we tried using it a couple of times, and we had a latency issue because our latency, we use Clean Feed out of England, and our latency is pretty much nil. Usually, unless there's something going on in the net, but it was not giving us the snappiness we wanted. But I guess it gives you enough snappiness, so it's not an issue. So that's good to know.
So far, so good, and I didn't even go up to the like there's a preferred or a platinum or a business or something like that. I'm just on the regular residential. I'm getting about 100 to 200 down and about 10 to 20 up. But the other thing that I'm sure is a huge difference is I'm in the middle of Alberta. There's like 4 million people here. 2.5 million of them are in the cities. So there's probably not a lot of Starlink usage compared to
that could be
Texas. There might be a lot more users trying to beam up.
Have you watched the videos on the Starlink, the antenna that you have and how it works? This is the most fascinating thing. It's almost unimaginable, this technology that he glommed onto to put this thing together. It's pretty astonishing because those satellites are not stationary. They're just moving around like crazy. And it's that antenna that you had. There's a couple of videos on YouTube that describe it in great detail. And it's like a jaw dropper.
But honestly, the show has been because I lived on an acreage before I got divorced, and we had to rent a place in town. We had to rent a little office to do the show because at that time there was no real, and this was only 6 years ago. There was no real rural internet technology that was going to do it. There was a satellite thing. It was still a satellite thing. It was like
the old satellites are impossible.
Yeah, as soon as the wind picked up or it starts raining, it's not working. And then there's like a giant latency issue all the time. Where the only thing that really works well is Netflix, which I still don't understand how they managed to make that work all the time. But overall, I got to say I'm pretty impressed with Elon's thing here because I mean now, I'd imagine he'd fall into the same rules would he be susceptible to the internet rules for the rest of the Canadian providers? Because I do feel like in some ways I trust Elon more than anyone else in Canada with my internet connection.
Well, so you would know better than me.
I don't know. They don't really tell us that sort of things around here. I don't know. It's getting weird up in Canada though.
Well, you got your Trudeau guy. That's the problem. Just a simple fix. Just vote him out. I don't understand why the Canadians put up with that guy.
No, it wouldn't have been any different during COVID. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered who was in power during that time.
Well, probably. Well, we saw the same thing here. COVID was a fantastic, I don't want to call it a psyop or anything, but it was well done.
Yeah,
Locked
definitely.
everybody up, told them what to do. They followed the orders. They put the masks on. They got shot. The shot didn't work, so let's get another shot. There's a variant, so let's get a new shot. And they're still selling the shots, even though they're not being picked up much. I think the pickup on the new shot is like 10%, maybe something like that, some low number. It's embarrassing. The public is getting a clue, and it's podcasters that are giving them the clue. I think the podcasters sow the seeds of doubt.
I would agree with that for sure. You have
We've
advice?
been kicked off everywhere. I mean, it's crazy. We even got kicked off of Kindle.
Of what?
I got kicked off of Kindle, which resulted in me in us getting
kicked off a Kindle.
Kicked off a Kindle. I've had.
How'd you get kicked off a Kindle? How did they kick you off?
They just kick you off for crazy stuff, and you can't even talk to real people. This was the last one.
None of these companies. Yeah, High Tech has done the job on avoiding actual customer service. I think the last company that knew what they were doing with customer service was a Utah-based company that did WordPerfect, and their whole thing was offices full of people that would take calls. And then somebody realized, I think it was Google realized it. Yeah, all these main companies realized it. Why? So what if they're angry and they want to call us? Screw it.
So the last time was for like copyright infringement stuff, and I sent them everything to prove that there was no copyright infringement. And if there anything that was, it's out of date anyway. It's
on Kindle.
So and everything's in the public domain. Like no, they kick you off, and it's just the same response every time.
So instead of saying no,
AI.
Instead of saying no, you can't do this, and you go back and forth with, they just shut you down. Like they close your account.
Yeah, it's easier.
And they don't have a phone number, so there's no phone in people. So you try and email, and then you're like, screw it, I'll just start a new account. Oh no, we closed that down account because we know it's you, and you're not allowed to have two accounts. That's breaking the rules too.
They got that part down.
They got that part down, Pat, which wasn't even a big deal for us because it's Kindle. You're not making any money on Kindle. But this was like our entryway into our whole audiobook thing where we were, making a living. And then,
well, you guys
4 months later, they're like, hey, if you can't have a Kindle account, you can't have an Audible account either. So you're kicked out of here too. We'll see you later.
Well, I didn't know I was on such a controversial podcast.
There could be trouble for you.
I've done the show before. Nobody called me and said, hey, don't do those shows anymore with those guys. Those guys are subversives.
Well, do you have any advice for other podcasters at all while we're still on that topic?
Well, you guys should retire immediately. You're just you're under a barrage of hate, threats, you name it. I don't know. It's terrible.
Well, maybe that's what happens these days when you're looking for the truth, when you're deconstructing the news,
Well,
yeah.
No, I have no advice for podcasters. My advice is I do have some, and since I can yak as much as I want on this show, my advice is that provide the audience with something distinctive, somewhat entertaining if you can, and something they can't get anyplace else. That's the main one. It has to be something they can't get anyplace else. It's either some sort of information or personalities that people think are great or whatever. That's how you are successful. Most podcasts, because I listen to podcasts, most podcasts are regurgitated Democrat talking points, it seems to me, or worse. They're just or guys are just shooting the shit like you would get at a bowling alley. then they're not interesting. I mean, our podcast, even though it's produced on the fly as kind of performance art, changes the topic once in a while. I mean, we do a topic for 10 minutes. We think we've overdone it. I've listened to podcasts where they'll take one subject that we might do for 10 minutes, and they'll spend an hour and a half hashing it over. Oh, and they talk about it and over. And you know, there's another thing. Is Fox News is a good example of doing this in a different way. Fox, I'm not a big Fox fan, but I do like a couple of shows, and I like Gutfeld quite a bit because I think it's well written, and its structure is new. It's a new sort of structure. But if you listen to Fox, say you spend a day listening to Fox, show after show after show after show, they'll revisit the same 10 topics. Each show will revisit the exact same 10 topics. And when you get to Gutfeld, they're doing the same topics, usually not 10 of them, but they're doing the top 5 topics with a humorous bent, but it's the same exact topics. And these podcasters that have this idea that they can hash over one topic for an hour and a half and keep people interested, it's impossible. I don't know what they're thinking.
Can you talk a little bit about your process and let's say we were going to do a show like yours, kind of like can you talk about your sort of your clipping and your process of your deconstruction process of what you and Adam do?
Well, there's a couple of things that it's hard to do, for other people to do what we do, because we kind of got into we're both skeptical, but from a completely different perspective. His perspective is just different than mine. He has a different way of looking at things that I do, and we can both see bullshit, but we see it slightly differently. So one of us can see bullshit, and the other one can say, well, that's bullshit, but this is the real bullshit. And then we show, that kind of one-upsmanship thing we do all the time. It's just a fluke. The two of us have got together in the first place, and it turns out that we work well as a team. But the process is pretty similar. We spend all day looking at news, and then we clip stuff that we think is interesting, or I like to clip stuff that I think is like fraudulent reporting, which is easy to do. And Adam does pretty much the same thing. We both have people that feed us stuff. And then we have to go over that. We have to be careful about that, because you can get caught up in some old piece. Somebody said, "Look at this." It turns out to be 10 years old, which is fine if you tell people it's 10 years old. It's an almost impossible. I can't give you a diagram about the process, because we do our own thing individually, and then we put it together on the fly.
Yeah.
And it tends to work, I'd say 98% of the time. There are shows that are not good, but they're pretty rare, because one of us will usually have a bunch of stuff that is interesting. At least one of us will.
Yeah.
And then we can both talk about it. I think Adam becoming a born-again Christian, I actually think helps the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he wasn't a born-again Christian before.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. But
well, yeah, I mean, he quit the weed and followed Jesus. I mean, that's quite a shift in perspective.
Yeah, well, the weed he quit because he had to, because he was getting his teeth worked on, and he found he could quit weed. He wasn't really truly addicted. My wife thinks he's more pleasant, because he was but weed does make you a little paranoid, so you get a little snippier. But I think the Christian thing has put him into I wouldn't say a defensive posture, but he now realizes that there's a lot of anti-Christian stuff out there.
It's a war. There's a war on Christianity as well. I mean, there's a lot of wars.
But the joke to me is there's always been.
Yeah.
There's it's not nothing. It's nothing
But
new.
it's
But when you're now part of it and you're caught up in it to that
the different.
extent,
Yeah, the difference is
you
it's a
see it.
lot.
You go, oh my God, they're trying to kill us.
Exactly. And the difference is it's a lot more overt, like the satanic symbolism and
Oh yeah,
music. And I
yeah.
mean, now it's
Well,
just like you're going, holy shit, they're really putting it in our face.
yeah. Well, Adam used to always be into spotting that in the music awards,
Yeah.
and so he would watch all of them. I can't stand watching some of this stuff, and they'd be basically a satanic rite being played out right on the stage in front of in front of the entire audience, and he'd always point it out and who did it and why.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was amusing, but now I think he's probably a little more. Even more into spotting the devil's work.
Yeah,
The only way
exactly.
to put it.
That's a good way
But
to put it.
and
So
that would be
has technology changed the way, like putting the clips that you get from your listeners or your producers, they send you stuff. Obviously you still have to do that little bit of a
I
vetting
do most of
process.
my own clipping, by the way.
So do you and Adam clip them the same way? And has technology recently changed the way you do your
No.
process at all?
No, we've been clipping the same way for the last 10 years.
Get them from the TV?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, I have YouTube TV. I mean, I would say there's some things that have changed. I used to record directly from the TV off of I had a direct TV and the dish. And I plug into those things. I have pro gear, so I just recorded straight off of the RCA jacks and the little plugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
The audio plugs. And then since I got YouTube TV, which has all the same stuff, and I can record everything. YouTube TV has limitless recording. So because they just keep everything at the home offices, you're not recording anything, but they make you think you are. So you want to record this, that, and the other thing, and so you can watch TV casually, and then you go to your YouTube TV and pull the recordings, and then clip directly on the computer right into. In my case, I use Audacity. So I don't clip with a recorder anymore. I clip right into the clip maker using YouTube TV. So that changed a little bit.
Adam's
Process, I have no idea what he does.
Do you think
We're both sticklers about quality, though. So
Yeah.
if Adam has a echoey clip, where you just picked it up with a microphone in a hotel room, no, that's not going to cut it. The clips we have are high quality clips that are clear and very usable, professional.
do you think you could have done the show? Because for a while, I mean, when you first start realizing how messed up everything is and how fraudulent and lying and terrible it is, you're like, oh, well, this must be a new thing. But then it seems like maybe it isn't. Do you think you could have done the show as easily if the technology existed in, the 40s, 50s, and 60s as it is today? Or do you think it's more blatant and wrapping up?
I've come to the conclusion that what you said is true. I think the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the same. I don't think this has ever changed that much. And in fact, that's why there were newsletters that were done by I.F. Stone. And there's a guy named, you want to look up a guy who did some terrific journalism. His name is Seldes, Seldes, and he was the guy who developed the first newsletter, public newsletter. And he had a huge subscriber base. And then I.F. Stone did the same thing. These were kind of left-leaning writers, but they were doing the same thing we're doing with podcasting. They were deconstructing news but they put it in a newsletter, and the public would subscribe to it. So they saw the same bad reporting and corruption within the media, except it's not. I think the bad part today is the fact that big pharma has captured a lot of media, but except for that difference, it was still captured by one group or another, large corporations mostly, Yeah, in other words, to answer your question, yes, if we had the same technology in 1955 and we were alive, we would both be able to do pretty much the same show, maybe even better back then, maybe better.
Yeah.
Because there's so much skepticism out there today about the news media. You just have to look at the polls showing that nobody believes the news media. the big boys. And there's poll after poll. It keeps showing them dropping. The Republicans are really don't believe anything. The Democrats are now way below. They're around 30% of credibility. Back in the day, in the 50s, those numbers would be way up there. Everyone would be very trusting of the news media. So we'd have more of a field day, I think, because right now everybody thinks everybody's full of shit, and so it's, okay, well, these guys are just pointing out the obvious. I think it's harder for us.
It's starting to seem like they're realizing that too, from the clip you guys played in the last episode or two, where the lady, I think it was the New York Times or Washington Post lady, in the Davos thing, saying like we're losing everybody's trust, like nobody
they are.
So they're starting to realize it. I don't know if they really understand it fully, but they're starting to realize it. I mean, how does that? I wanted to ask you about that. One of my main questions is how you keep sort of a modicum of positivity when you're constantly having to review these mainstream lies. Like, that's the hardest part for me to listening to your show. Is that's my only real mainstream. That's my mainstream diet. Is I mean, of course we do. We do our own show, and I do see like headlines, but from the actual like TV clips and the news clips, it's so hard to just hear them lying so outright constantly, and you guys are sort of putting all this together. Like, how do you kind of keep somewhat detached from that?
Non-cynical.
We're not detached, but we just think it's hilarious. I mean, to us, it's a form of humor, and I think we try to express that so people don't start taking this so serious. This is the problem a lot of these podcasts have. They're just, I could almost name a few of them. They're very, very well attended podcasts. And the guy's like, he's freaked out, and he's, oh my God, they're going to do this and they're going to take over. And the next thing you know, we're all going to be slaves. We're going to have vaccine passports and they won't let you do anything because you're going to have a social credit score just like they have in China. And that's what they're trying to do to us now with digital currency. And we're all going to die. And so, okay, well, maybe. I mean, it's possible. I don't see it personally. I mean, Adams trends a little bit to thinking that way, but he still thinks it's funny. And I just think it's hilarious because I don't see any evidence that any of these guys can't pull off anything. They're incompetent, and let alone digital currency. I mean, they had their shot here with COVID, and now they can't even get anyone to take the shot, the vaccine, I should say, different types of shot there. The vaccine is dead in the water. And now it's created because of the skepticism that's been put out there largely by podcasters, the guys like you in particular. The public is like backed off from all kinds of vaccines. They're rethinking all these vaccines. Is it all bull crap? I mean, we played a couple measles clips from the Brady Bunch on the last show, which I thought was an eye opener. It showed that the measles was pretty much eradicated. It wasn't eradicated, but it became nothing more than a nuisance in the late 60s. And it never was a thing that you'd want to get a shot for. You just get it, and it was no big deal. I remember having it, and you get a rash. It's like a bad rash. School. And you got to be inside. Yeah.
You got a week off school. You got a week off school.
Yeah, you got a week off school. It's great. And so had a temperature and a rash, and you were over it, and then you never would get it again.
Well, even the chicken pox, right? The chicken pox was even
same thing.
It was even less than measles. No, we your kids got chicken pox, send them over to our house because you didn't want them to get it as an animal.
No, they used to have parties to get people sick, but which is kind of sick if you think about it. But it's important. And this chicken pox was actually, I think, is the one. If you get chicken pox, mumps. If you didn't get mumps as a kid and you get it as an older male, it goes right to your balls. And you get these big swollen balls, and it's like I understand that to be quite painful. So that's something you don't want to. That I would get it if I was an adult male and I never had the mumps when I was a kid, which I did, and it wasn't a pleasant feeling to have your glands are just swollen and they hurt. But I'd probably get a shot just in case. I can't imagine having the
balls.
No. Big giant basketball sized balls. No good.
I think the other interesting stat that is going around out there now, I don't know if you guys seen that one yet, is just because during COVID, all of the wellness checkups for all the kids were canceled. So no shots, no 6-month shots, no 1-year shots, no 4-month shots. And I want to say SIDS went down by like 45%.
Yeah, I know, it's funny. They don't want to talk about anything like that. That's why you got banned. You be
Yeah,
quiet.
exactly.
The vaccine thing does seem to be the real reason that we got banned. Funny enough, though, since YouTube demonetized us, we're going up. I mean, touch wood, because we're probably going to get kicked off right away. I hope we don't. But they demonetized us, and everything started going up. It's like we got let out of the. It's almost like we're better being away from the advertisers, but I don't know. It's going to be short lived. I really feel like they're letting us.
No, you guys are troublemakers.
Yeah, they're giving
Yeah.
us enough leash to hang ourselves.
And the funny thing is, you're Canadians. How can this be?
It's the no agenda effect.
That's a joke from for the audience that understands what I said.
So what?
Hey,
Darren, what-
oh, okay. Yes, go on.
I got a couple things I want to finish off with, Darren. But where do you have anywhere you want to go from now?
No, you go ahead. You can. I mean, I got places to go, but you go ahead, and I'll play off of that.
Well, okay. So before I want to get this out there, because before we end up at a time, but I am a proud nut fister, John, and I can explain why.
One
There's
of
a
those
logic.
guys.
There's a logic to it, but I mean, I'm telling you, when I first heard you, like, talking about the nut
Bitching
fisting,
about
I was
it.
like, oh my God, I'm one of those guys on the plane that you would be fucking losing your mind over. And I'm telling you, there's a reason for it. Why you see people doing this is because otherwise, if you're grabbing the nuts like this out of the bag with your fingers, and you're trying to get more than one at a time, which of course is normal, and you're going to put them in your mouth. I mean, they're pushing together, they're spraying out, they're dropping everywhere. I mean, the most logical way is you take them, you let them sit in your fist,
No.
and then you shake them into your mouth. I mean, it's like the
It's
cleanest,
logical.
most logical way to eat nuts. And then
Now you take the nut bag, you tear the whole top off, and you drop like how many nuts you want in your palm, like 3, and you go, and you just take the 3 or 4 nuts in your mouth that way, and you get some salt in your palm. That's about it. That's the way you eat the nuts. You don't take the whole bag of nuts and drop them the whole bag into your fist and then shake them. What is the point? It seems like, yeah, that's exactly what Darren's. It looks like you're jacking off.
Yeah.
no, I
There's,
did say
there's
the
something
whole
you don't
bag.
do. You just don't do them, whether they're easier or not.
Or you know what I do? Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think what I do when I have I'll take the whole top of the bag of nuts off, and I'll just take the whole bag, and just
All right,
down
that's
as much as I can in my mouth, and have maybe 20 peanuts in my mouth, and I'll chew them up.
yeah, okay, that's good. I
So,
like those
okay,
two
okay.
ways. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I like those 2 ways. That's I
But
would,
okay,
I
stick
would
with
agree on
what you're doing, because it's probably it's like people who smoke, they really just smoke just so they can have something to do with their hand.
You could do 2 fists, girl.
But you have cashews and one fist and peanuts in the other. Sure.
I do.
The other-
Before I forget, I got to say that my smoking hot douchebag wife says hi.
Oh,
Did I-
hello to her. What's her name?
Her name's Shauna. She's a big JCD fan.
Ah, good for her. She's a smart woman.
Yeah, I only had to hit her in the mouth once or twice, and she came around.
Well. We
The
have a
other thing-
lot of women that listen to our show that enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because, of course, they're getting to hear 2 old guys, basically. I mean, Adam's not nearly as old as I am, but they get to hear 2 mature men. Indicates a couple of things. One, even at our age, we still act immature, which proves because that's what women think all men are, just immature idiots. And so we confirm that in their minds. And then we also have some insights because of our experience that they don't get it elsewhere. And so they like the show, and we have a sense of humor about things.
Speaking of wives, I want to get you to plug the egg book.
Oh, yes.
Too many egg
My
book,
wife
because
Amy wrote this.
egg.
Do you have a
'cause
copy?
Before you do, yeah, I would love one. But before you do that, because eggs has been one of those foods that in the last few decades that's been through the whole gamut. They're good for you, bad for you, good for you, bad for you.
Bad for you. Yeah.
And now they're
Well,
part of the
people-
meat eaters. They're part of the carnivore diet and the keto. Like now, there's a resurgence of eggs. People love them.
TooManyEggs.com. You can get a free PDF if you want. TooManyEggs.com. And get a free PDF, or you can buy the book there. It's a big book. It's 800 pages of egg recipes, and it's mostly stories
So
about the recipes. She has origin stories.
Why
for
did she
pretty
want to
much-
write that?
Sorry?
Why did she want to write that?
Well, she has a story about how it was a grieving experience because her brother died and she had something, needed something to do. But in fact, we had a bunch of chickens and we had too many eggs, and she was looking for more and more recipes to burn through eggs. And she started writing these recipes down, and the book kind of got started that way. And then she kept promising she was going to do a whole book, and it took a decade, but she did it. She finally finished the whole thing.
So it literally got lots of recipes in there, and for people that like eggs, then that would be really good.
There's 800 recipes or so.
I got chickens, so I got the book right away as soon as it came out, because
Yeah,
I
what do
have
you
that
think?
problem once in a while. I mean, in the winter, we don't have too many eggs, but in the summer we do. So I knew exactly what you're talking about when everyone's freaking about eggs. It's like, well, yeah, they don't really lay eggs in the winter.
Yeah, it's amazing when you have a few chickens and all the eggs start accumulating. It's like, what do we do with all these eggs? We've got chickens so we can get some nice fresh eggs, but we didn't expect to get this many. And the chickens don't care. So they're laying eggs all over the place. I mean, they don't lay in one spot necessarily. They should. Some chickens are good about that, but most of them just lay an egg when they feel like it. So that you're stepping out in the yard and you step in one. Um, yeah, too many eggs. It's a good book. It's a classic.
So what makes you think Bobby is an op? So we're talking about RFK Jr. I mean, that is one thing that really interests me personally on why you guys, because you guys are very different in what you think is ops. Sometimes Adam thinks something's an op, and sometimes you're calling things ops, but you both seem to agree that Bobby is an op. And
Yeah.
I know there's some obvious things there, but he's been pushing back on Fauci and the
His
vaccines pretty
sister-in-law
hard.
works for the CIA. You think that might have something to do with it, or
Who does? Who does?
his sister? I think his sister-in-law works for the CIA, and she's become his campaign manager. I think she's taken over from Dennis Kucinich, and she's an agent. I mean, she's retired, but she wrote a book on it. And I mean, I had a joke with Adam once. I said, "Well, it was the CIA is pushing him to be president as a make good for killing his brother, and or his father and his uncle."
Uncle.
But but I've never believed that the CIA killed John F. Kennedy. I into the mafia thesis that was brought up by ex-mobsters, and it makes more sense. But and I've never been totally convinced that the CIA killed Robert F. Kennedy either. But that one, I could be convinced otherwise. So that was just a joke, though. So, you know, he would be an interesting guy as president because of his anti-pharma. He would maybe eliminate pharma advertising on TV, which would be great. And some other things that are going on, he would probably get rid of that. But he's still a Democrat that's, you know, environmental nutcase. They've toned it down a bit. It just seemed like an op, and I think it's still an op, and I think it's an op to take votes away from Trump the way it's set up. Because I don't think he's going to take votes away from any Democrat. The Democrats are wearing masks to this day, and they're, you know, getting boosters over and over. And Bobby is an anti-vaxxer by their definition. They're not going to vote for him.
Which is missing, like what Adam says too. There's a core group of Trump supporters that don't like his stance on the warp speed, and there is a bunch of anti-vaxxers that used to be Trump voters that probably need somewhere to go, and that might be that. I think I can see that. Yeah.
And Trump has not taken an apology
a hard enough stance
for his vax thing, and he still brags about how that happened so fast, even though it was obviously a setup of some sort. And then he was like burned with his commentary about different kinds of treatments. What was that one? I can't remember, but before ivermectin showed up, there was another one that he
hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine. He promoted that, and next thing you know, they came down hard on him. The guy is a target, you know, and it's like I can see people not voting for him.
Yeah. So what's the future for No Agenda?
I don't know. We keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems to be we have a core audience that likes the show.
Yeah.
And they like us, and they like what we're doing. And as long as that continues, we'll keep doing it. It's fun. It's actually semi-fun. And I get to come on shows like this, which is one of the great subversive shows ever created in Canada. Hey,
Hey,
At least in Canada. What are your favorite podcasts? What are you listening to regularly?
I don't really listen to anything regularly. I would say, I will say there's a couple of podcasts I admire the podcaster uh, for reasons that make no sense. I shouldn't even be plugging them. And I can't give you I should probably think about it, but I don't listen to any podcasts regularly. I kind
yeah,
of listen to all of them casually
yeah.
and occasionally. I'll get guided to one, and I mean, if I hear something comes out from uh, the amazing Polly, for example, if she produces something, I would definitely go get it. Mr. Reagan, I find to be entertaining, but I don't watch him regularly or listen to him. There used to be a thing called the Truth Machine or the Truth Factory with a
Oh yeah,
cat.
she was up
She's
north
right
of
by
us.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, the talking cat. And I guess she's just not producing stuff anymore. She stopped or she's on a hiatus. I don't know. I like that product a lot. And I like people who go and I like the ones who do work, not just sit around shooting the shit. I mean, I can see people liking guys shooting the shit, but I like to see something where I'm going, I haven't heard this. This is news to me, and they do a lot of research and they bring it out. And
that's what.
Paulie does
Yeah,
that, and the
yeah.
Truth Factory used to do that.
We're kind of doing that, and we have another show, Grimerica Outlawed, which is a little more controversial and all that, even than this one. And we're doing our own sort of round. We call it a roundup, where we're kind of doing similar. We're trying to do similar stuff, where talk about some of the stuff that doesn't get talked about, do some deconstruction, and because we don't really have a chance to just chit chat ourselves because everything's interview based. So this is kind of more just us going through it for an hour and a half,
Well, it
different
could be a winner.
topics. So
I'll check it out.
yeah,
And with
thanks.
some Canadian spin. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
the Truth Cat was a shitty one because she went, and when we talked to her, she had just like quit her day job and everything was going well. And then I think YouTube smoked her, and all of a sudden all of her income was gone.
Yeah, I think that happened to Amazing Polly, but she moved on to Rumble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rumble and BitChute, it was hard to bring your YouTube audience. So I mean, if
Yeah,
there's
I
one
think
thing
it's
we've noticed,
impossible.
it's almost impossible to move your audience from one
Yeah, well, that's a
platform to
shame
another.
what happened to the Truth Factory because that was a quality product.
Yeah.
Quality product.
I want to have Amazing Polly on our other show. I should try again to get a hold of her. It's hard. She's hard to get a hold of from
Yeah, a
that
lot
kind of
people are hard to
perspective.
I'm hard to get a hold of, basically.
Yeah.
Especially now that I'm banned from Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my main avenue for getting a hold of people.
You're
Because
banned from
we had
Twitter?
like,
I've never heard such a thing.
yeah, we had like 50,000 followers. So, not that it really matters, but when you approach some of these people that gave you a little bit of credibility, you're not just, you look like something, but now it's like you're sending them emails and a million other people are sending them emails.
No, just keep plugging.
Just
Yeah.
keep plugging. That's what we've been doing for 10 years. We ain't going to stop now.
Get a booker.
Have you, before we let you go, can you give us some predictions for 2024?
Yeah, I think the economy is going to do better than people think. It's a good time to sell your art. If you got art to sell, I think that everyone's going to be jacked up. I think the immigration thing is not going to be helped at all by anything going on. The Republicans are going to be ineffectual at doing their investigations. I think that's going to continue. Hunter Biden is going to smell like a rose coming out of this. That if Biden gets kicked out of office, he's just going to pardon Hunter for everything he ever did, and his brother probably too. And so that's a meaningless waste of time. Trudeau will continue to screw up Canada as best he can and try to socialize everything, and but that'll get reversed eventually because the Canadians are not. I've always said the difference between the Canadians and the Americans is that we had a revolution to get our freedom. The Canadians just complained a lot, and so the Canadian complaining is a very powerful tool, and they do it better than anybody. And I think at this point they're going to start complaining more about Trudeau and maybe getting some results.
Right
I
on.
tend to agree. I'm expecting to see him resign by the end of the year.
Oh, that's optimistic.
Or maybe not, if not resign, at least I think if he don't resign, which he might want to do to save face, but I think the party's had enough of him.
Oh, they better have.
Right? Because eventually he's not just ruining Trudeau, he's ruining the whole Liberal Party brand that they've spent 100 years building, you know?
John, do you know how much they spent in 2022 on consultants? You will
I
know
can't-
you will know exactly who the consultants are, but how much do you think Trudeau spent?
Oh, I'd say 250 million.
Yeah, 17.3 or 17.7 billion.
No.
Yes, apparently, according
I
to the
fact
National
checked him
Post.
because I didn't believe him, and it was in our fucking.
I don't believe him now.
Yeah.
17. What? Holy mackerel! You
I mean,
buy. Why don't you just buy votes? Send everybody's a $10 bill. You'd get him voted in. That would be
that'd be
cheaper.
more. I wonder how much that would be for the measly
Let's
35
do a
million of us in
calculation,
Canada.
find
Yeah.
out. But that's what I do.
So, yeah, and you know who it was because you talk about him a lot, McKinsey and Company.
Oh, McKinsey. Yeah. Well, of course. Well, they'll work for anybody. That's a bonanza, by the way, for them, not for so much for. So you're talking about that's Canadian taxpayer money. It's not coming out of his
100%.
wallet.
No, that's coming out of our taxes, or they're just printing it.
You
now.
paid for it.
Yeah.
Well, they seem to be just printing it, which makes me getting taxed seem weird.
Yeah. What's the point?
John, this has been fantastic. As always, thank you for your courage. Graham's tonight. I'm not quite there yet. I think I got halfway to go. I should clean that up. But we are you guys are the only podcast that I listen to regularly. So
Well, that's nice. We appreciate that, of course. We like coming on this show, and Adam will be on next.
Adam will be on next.
Yep.
Thank you, John, for all you do. Come back anytime.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
See you guys. Adios.
And that was a chat with the one and only John C. Dvorak. Everyone's loving it. What do you think?
Oh yeah, the people in the chat were just loving it too. I mean, yeah, he's got everybody loves him. I kind of I see it now. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always have, but it's just good to see him physically again. He looks like he looks harder than I remembered.
Totally, he looks harder than you. He's like 30 years older than you.
I told him that when we were in there before you came in, I was like, "You look good, John. You're looking good." Like he's just got that like ruggedness about him that I.
I was late because I had almost resigned to the fact that it wasn't going to happen.
Oh right.
But it was like you said, I was like, no, he's not going to confirm. He's just going to show up 5 minutes before and be like, "Let's go. Where's my link?" And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, he's an old pro that way because he's got it. He made the booking. He's an old pro. He's going to show up.
He is an old pro. Absolutely. Big thanks to John C. Dvorak for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Adam is not on tonight. Adam is on February 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. February 19th, 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to catch that one live, of course, it'll come out later as well, post-produced. We don't really do much production. Anyway, big thanks to John for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks if you're one of the few people who do choose to support the work. Take a little a lesson from John's book here and say, you guys need to do a better job of supporting this show. I mean, it's at an all-time low for the 10 years we've been doing the show. If it weren't for the Grimerica Outlawed show and the audiobooks, we'd be broke because I can tell you there's probably less than 200 people supporting this show at any level right now. And, a lot of those are $1 or $2 a month. So, it's barely sustainable to keep this show going. The fact that we love it. We love talking to you guys. We love interviewing people like John, but we could use some support if you're getting some value from our little podcast here and you want to send some value back our way. You can do so at grimerica.ca/support. You can do a one-time donation of any amount you like. You can sign up for a monthly of any amount you like. There's a Stripe option there if you don't like PayPal. A lot of people quit PayPal and never came back to any other platform during the PayPal apocalypse. And we got other stuff. There is the Patreon as well. There's the locals. We don't know we don't really know how well locals works yet. Patreon always seems to work. The best, though, is GrimericaOutlawed.ca or Grimerica.ca/support because those ones are direct to us. There's no sort of intermediary that's taken an extra cut or that can kick us off. I mean, I guess PayPal and these other places always could too, but it seems less likely. Those guys would get in trouble before we did, maybe. I don't know. We do go a little third and fourth rail sometimes. Anyway, that's about it. Grimerica Outlaw.ca for that other podcast we're talking about, where we do the roundup style stuff that is a little no agenda-esque, not quite as polished, and with a little more Canadian and a lot more like second half of show stuff like No Agenda used to do back in the day. Adultbrain.ca for all the audiobooks. We have the audiobook podcast, probably one of the biggest audiobook podcasts in the world by book volume. And Contact at the Cabin for the trips. Other than that, we love you guys. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.
Live to tape. John C. Dvorak, welcome back after 2 years to Grimerica. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing very good. I'm learning how to be fascinated with what's happening in the world instead of constantly disappointed.
No. Normally you're talking about hockey, so that's my understanding.
He just started playing hockey again.
Should I? I never played hockey, because I can't skate that well. So
I have a game in 4 hours, and you know what happened? I moved to this little tiny town, and they started an over 45 league.
Yeah, and you jumped right in.
Perfect. I'm like, oh my god, thank you. Try and get back into shape a bit.
The one thing a lot of people who like to watch sports have to appreciate the fact, and I know I can go off into a hockey rant.
That's okay.
I know. They appreciate you if you go to live events. Of all the live events you can attend, hockey is without question the absolute best of the group. It's better than football, which is stalling constantly for ads and advertising timeouts, and basketball, which is it's kind of exciting, but not like hockey. Hockey is, if people would like to go see sports events live, hockey is the game. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. But it did change. I think it was in the 90s where they started adding the TV ads. Like, it did start to slow the game down a little bit. They were doing TV breaks. They would come out and sweep the ice. That's fairly new. I mean, when I grew up watching it, they never had that, but I guess that's kind of natural. They got to, include a little bit more TV time in there.
No, remember when Fox was doing that thing where they put the highlight on the puck?
The little blue dot.
Yeah,
they would show you the streaming, the trail of the puck. I used to always have a puck in my freezer. Very few people. Everyone should have a puck in their freezer, because it's a conversation starter. You can bring it out of the freezer and ask some people what do you think this is, and they won't immediately think it's a puck. But once they realize it's a puck, it's quite fascinating to keep one around.
Around here, everybody would know it was a puck right away. Would be the problem. So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple of years. We've actually finally been able to make the jump to full-time podcasters ourselves, along with all the other crazy stuff we're up to in the background, which is some stuff I'd like to talk to you about, because you've been in the publishing industry for a long time, and I'm wondering sort of what your take on this AI coming up is and how that's going to affect. I mean, it seems to be doing some plagiarizing on different levels depending on the different mediums, but Adam's sort of been pretty adamant about its demise through the course of the show. But you've sort of piped in from time to time and given your 2 cents, but I don't think we've really got your sort of overarching thoughts on where this AI thing is heading over the next couple of years, because my personal experience with it is it seems to be getting worse quickly.
Yeah, I'm not getting that. I think it's getting better. I think there are some systems that are failing because of whatever reason. Some of them, Chat GPT, for example,
that's the one I've noticed seems to be failing.
Version 5 seems to be when version 5 first came out, everyone who knew anything, they knew that this was a dog. But overall, with the art and the music and some of these other systems that are very complicated, as opposed to the writing, which is the typical people use it for and people use it mostly for writing, but they also use, I mean, the biggest use is for search. It's changed the search business completely, and the good systems where there's, I use Perplexity and Grok most of the time, and they always have footnotes so you can check the sources, because once in a while there will be. I did a search recently over some screwball thing that had a lot of misinformation about it, and they came back with the misinformation as though it was a fact, but the footnoting, which was pretty thorough, clicked right back to the bad sources, and I saw immediately where it was getting all its information from. It wasn't getting it from any place else, so the information was sour, and I found I didn't have any trouble identifying it as such. I find that these systems are quite fascinating. The problem, and Adam uses this as the basis, and I think this is a problem, they're too expensive. It costs a lot of money. They're getting I don't know how many millions and millions of uses a day per every one of these systems, that they're losing money on each search, basically. And until that gets corrected, which it should naturally be corrected by the Moore's law and the fact that things get cheaper to do. I mean, Bill Gates identified this years ago when he did an early interview in the very early days of PC Magazine. There was that's when before it was run by Ziff. He did an interview that was quite fascinating, because he had identified the fact that you can put together crappy code, and Microsoft would know. You can put together crappy code that's functionally, it works, but it's really slow. You don't worry about it, because what happens over time is it speeds up by the technology speeds it up. You don't have to speed it up. And that's, I think, the same thing with AI. If they get some new breakthroughs in the chips, we have to remember that with AI, most of this is done with a corpus or a giant large language model, and in between you and the large language model are these neural networks that are designed to decode the large language model and give you a result that makes sense in terms of the way it's put together. So the neural networks, neural networks were faddish during the first artificial intelligence boom in the 80s, and they all went out of favor, and a lot of the research had been kind of put aside because people were going for things other than neural networks, because they couldn't get them to work. In fact, Intel even had a chip that they made. It was a neural network chip. I have a copy of it in a drawer somewhere. And they had a neural network chip. I don't know why they stopped working on it, but they did. And once the neural networks, then meanwhile, of course, the whole AI thing collapsed in the late 80s. And so when the neural networks were reinvented to do what they're doing now, if you look back back to the 80s, when neural networks first came out, there were, at the very end of their cycle, people were learning how to optimize them before the whole thing was shelved. The whole AI thing was thrown away. But they were optimizing the neural network so the network could take a shortcut. And the Chinese may have been doing that with their neural network, because everyone who's in this game, they talk about the Chinese products having a more efficiency. And I think that a lot of the overhead, the cost of getting these systems to work, may be solved by optimizing the neural networks, and it isn't going to cost so much compute power to do a search on something. So I have a positive attitude about this. I mean, the thing might result in a catastrophic market collapse at some point, where the stock market, and it will take everything with it. Very much like the dot-com situation in '99 and 2000. It has all the earmarks of that, but that's a few years away, at least 2. So I think that now's the time to enjoy this stuff.
Do you think ChatGPT can pull it? Like, do you think there's
hope for them, or is this like this folly with 5? Does this like point to systematic problems that can't be solved? Like, is it time to abandon ChatGPT?
Oh, I think they could probably fix it. I mean, there's ways around it. It's a lead, still basically the leader, the ones who really pushed it the most. Uh, I mean, besides the fact that Musk was first part of it, that he's not, and Musk is important. Uh, I don't know about ChatGPT, to be honest about it. They may or may not fail. Uh, I don't like this roundabout financing thing that we keep seeing where they're going to give somebody $700 billion and they're going to give to somebody else $700 billion. It goes round and around and around. I'm giving it to you and you're giving it to him and he's giving it to them and they're giving it to this guy and then I'm getting it back. I mean, this sort of thing is scamish. And so that doesn't bode well.
Well, we pay monthly for it, and we noticed a difference. Probably, I don't know when it was. If you noticed it, Darren, but a few weeks ago, where it just started being really slow. Like, I mean, I couldn't even get pronunciations of words in less than like 30 seconds or minutes. So, I mean, I just had to stop using it because I'm not going to sit there while I'm in the middle of reading a bunch of stuff and have to like wait a minute for it to answer me on a basic question. So I started using Grok for a bit, and I don't know if that's. I mean, I don't know if it's fixed it or if it's gotten any worse than that. But
Well,
No,
part
the
of my
AI
problem is it's arguing with me. I mean, it's like I'm trying to use this thing to do research, and I'll be the first to admit some of the research I'm doing is fringe, but it's still like I'm not here to fucking argue with you, man. It's like you need this and this and this, and it's like I feel like it wasn't doing that so much in 4. It would just be like, look, I'm looking for information on this. Find me what you can, but I can almost see the guardrails going up in real time.
That's no good.
I think there's a problem with the energy pricing too, which this is kind of it might fix. I mean, if we had proper energy pricing, I don't think it would cost so much for these things either. I mean, and that's one of the things I'm excited about is just for them to finally get innovative with energy and get a push to give us. We should have abundant energy, and obviously in Canada, the Europe, even the States, everything's been slowing down because of this net zero grift. So I do think it's positive that that's sort of pushing through that whole scam as well.
Yeah, the problem with energy is it takes the ramp is years, especially for nuclear. I mean, it takes 3 years to build a plant and get it going.
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of. I mean, it's what do you do in between? I agree though. Energy is become a ripoff.
Yeah.
People can't in California, especially where we're still paying $5 a gallon for gasoline in this state.
Well, have you heard the shortcut that Elon wants to take? I mean, it sounds like he might disrupt this whole thing by going solar powered satellites, creating this AI. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that recent sort of post and what he's supposedly going to do with SpaceX. I mean, that's pretty crazy. But I mean, that could kind of ruin this whole physical industry of building all these plants and getting all this new energy if he could just do it all from satellite. I mean, the amount of energy he was talking about producing up there is like the same as the States itself. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, Elon has got a big imagination. I suppose it's possible, but he's gonna. I guess he's gonna beam it down, which is doable. The technology's been there; it's known. It's. I mean, I'm not going to say he can't do it because he's pretty ambitious. He single-handedly got electric cars back on the road.
Yeah,
made him a thing, and his SpaceX, which is somewhat exploitative because NASA was falling apart and he just scrounged all the top guys. The Elon's, if you want to think about Elon and what he does best, Elon is one of those few businessmen who know how to pick people to work for him. This is the hardest thing in business to do, to find a partner that's reliable. I mean, you might be able to find, like you two guys can work together, but could you run a company with 10,000 people and have the right managers put in place and be sure of it? I mean, it's possible. I don't know you do that well. But I know I can't do it. I've managed people, but it's groups of 20 maybe, and it's like already you get into trouble. So people like Elon who can actually put together a company, the way he is as a person is astonishing. There's other guys like that, and they're all remarkable, and they get a lot of money because that's a skill that is unobtainable by almost anybody. I mean, you just can't do that. And so if he could find the right people to put something together like that, he could probably pull it off. But it seems ambitious to me. I mean, he's at his limit.
Well, Darren, did you have a more specific question about publishing? Because I do have an example of what might be a microcosm of AI kind of ruining a little website. So there was a website called Drive Through RPG, and it used to house like everybody's like role-playing games that they would make and they would sell. Like, so it was all the RPGs in the world probably were sold on this site called Drive Through RPG. It's been going for
And an RPG is like Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
Like Dungeons and Dragons, like
role-playing games.
A role-playing game, yeah. And now it's just been absolutely flooded by AI because people are making their own stuff and just uploading it and trying to sell all these things. So I don't know if that sort of platform or website will ever recover from just being absolutely flooded by all this new AI content. And I mean, and the makers of these games are also going to AI. So I mean, it's not like AI is not going to be used in that industry. I mean, you know, Wizards of the Coast and the big toy company. Why can't I think of the name of the toy? Hasbro are fully on board with doing everything they can with AI. So I think maybe that'll just be a shift in the way, you know, people buy and sell things and make things, but it's going to disrupt some things along the way, obviously.
I'd say there's going to be a lot of disruptions and things are going to shift and the marketing is going to change and people are going to, but if you start flooding the market with garbage, which I have to assume is going on because that's what AI does. It does it with writing. It does it with art. It does it with music. There's good stuff in there, but then it takes an editor type person, you know, someone who can oversee what's going on and then pick and choose. Like, for example, in the No Agenda show, we're one of the few shows that has original art for every episode as our album art for the podcast. And we started this a long time ago, and it ended up becoming kind of a community of artists that like to contribute. It's a kind of a competition. It's basically gamified.
No Agenda Art Generator, right?
NoAgendaArtGenerator.com if you want to check it out. And by the way, it's noagendashow.net if you want to check out the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. I was going to say that at the very beginning. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, there's the kind of art that we're getting. If you go to submit up in the corner there, where it says submit, you get the latest stuff that just came in. So we have a bunch of things, and we'll pick one of them for the show, and condemn some of them and critique some of them, and it's a cute segment, and but it's gone to, I'd say 90 over the last year. It's gone from original art to 90% AI.
Yeah.
But some of these guys, we have a couple of people that are just phenomenal AI prompters, and they not only produce winning art, but they also produce a lot of it. And so they flood the zone with the art. And so it's up to us to pull out the pieces that were, they can't, this is kind of interesting. They can't, it's maybe partly our fault because it seems like a hit and miss thing what we pick, but it's not true. We really, they're very thoughtful. But so they instead of submitting maybe 2 original pieces or 1 that they used to do, now they do 10.
Oh, right.
But they do 8 at least. There's 8 pieces, and a lot of them are variations, and some of them are different. And so we get, oh, great. Now we got a whole bunch of these things that got kind of figure out with it, and they're not quite as charming or soulful as the original art, but some of them are quite funny. Some people hit a home run somehow. One of our best guys is this guy Darren O'Neill's out in the Midwest, superstar artist, and he produces a lot of pieces, and I've asked him for his prompts, and he's every once in a while something will come up and he'll give me the prompts and what it took to get to the art piece. And they use different systems, but it's like so alien to what I would say 5 or 10 years ago in particular. It's so everything's changed. It's just a massive change, and it's I don't know if it's sneaking up on everybody, but it's sneaking up. It's snuck up on a lot of people.
Well,
And not us. We
you guys, but you guys resisted that for a while. I mean, let's talk about that change. I don't remember if I heard the exact time when you guys said, okay, AI is okay, but you guys were like, Adam was against it for quite a while, and then there was a point there was
I was never right. Adam was against it. Adam is the Luddite of the two of us. Even though he's more of a nerd than I am, in my opinion. He was against it right off the bat because he just saw he doesn't like I don't know if he thinks it's a cheat or he doesn't think it's, or maybe he sincerely doesn't believe it's any good. I think there's a lot of that, but a lot of it isn't any good. And I always thought it was okay. Well, let's just look. I wasn't that adamant about rejecting it, and he started accepting pieces. And once he got one in, and another got through because nothing else could beat it, and then another one, and then all of us. So he caved, and once he caved, and everybody started doing them with no fear of complaining. Although Adam still complains. And he bitches about certain models, and I'll complain too for some people that use some models that don't clean it up. If you do AI, you're gonna sometimes have to clean it up. You have to take the piece, put it in Photoshop, and do something to it. Some guys won't even do that; they just throw it out there. But it's a massive shift. I mean, there's nothing like it was 10 years ago, and this is gonna affect. I think it's going to affect the music industry next. That we already know that our pals over at Spotify have cheated the customer by putting in phony music and not having to pay royalties. There's no reason for AI to not create music completely and then have it transcribed and then sung. Is
there any copyright issues in any of that on where it's scraping the data from and the original files? I mean, with the writing, it seems harder because people have been sort of reading and rewriting stuff for millennia. But with some of the voice capture and the music capture, like, is it taking information from other songs and interjecting it there? Like, is there a copyright problem? And that's my take too. Is it has to be because even
it is, but nailing it down. So what's going to happen? We're already seeing it. Is the big boys who have all the licenses because they've screwed the artists out of them. They're just going to do these fundamental deals where you can use all the stuff anywhere you want here. You just give us 50 grand a year, or whatever. And so they're just going to, and all the music publishers will do this, and they're all going to be in, and then the music starts to come out, and they can exploit that too. The whole thing is exploitation. I mean, art in general, whether it's writing, whether it's visual art, whether it's singing, it's all exploitative. Artists are taken advantage of because they really want to just be artists and make a living. They don't want to get filthy rich. Generally, a few do, and a few do get rich, but most of them don't. And so the system makes all the middlemen. They're paying the bills for a lot of people, and this just is going to be part of that system. But there will be lawsuits in between.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering how they're gonna get through those lawsuits, because that's my take too. I'm like, well, when someone whips up an AI voice to read this thing on a YouTube video, I'm like, well, it's getting that voice from somewhere. It might be mixing some John Dvorak in with some Grant Dunlop and whoever else down the line, or taking bits of this voice and adding it to that voice, but it seems like just high level copyright.
The voicing is going to be tough. Because, for example, we have a couple of people we have songs at the end of the No Agenda show that are mostly now, I say 70% AI. Adam caved on that real fast. It used to be, you know, he caved because the guys who are normally producing this stuff, they all got tired. And so the AI guys kind of moved in and took over. And there's a couple of people that do Broadway style songs. They sound just like a Broadway musical tune. They got the same voicing, the same presentation style. A lot of them sound a little like Sinatra, but not. It's so a lot of the voices you just take Bing Crosby's voice. It's got to be public domain by definition. And so you use a Crosby mixed with a Russ Columbo, not to mention people that nobody knows what I'm talking about, but a few guys out there do. You mix a bunch of these baritones with some other people, and then you create a new voice that's a winner, and you use it over and over again for certain songs that you write. I don't think they're going to be able to do a thing about that.
Interesting. What about when it gets into like, because we produce audiobooks, so one of the plays we're watching is like, right now it's like, wow, at what point do we, because right now our stance is sort of, we're just not fucking around with the AI because everyone can notice after a while, you know, you can
you know, AI can't read well. It makes mistakes. I mean, they can't read my name.
Yeah, and it can't add the sort of nuance to the reading either. It sort of adds
it does it randomly. And it's not accurate. It doesn't, you know, you can have it do it over and over again, and sometimes you never get it right. Usually the first read is the best. I've been noticing this because I've been creating stuff. But it's not as good as a real person. There's no question about it. It doesn't mean that it can't. And in fact, that little element, the reading, especially a long book, it will never. This reminds me of another technology that goes way back, and this is simpler technology than this. This is the technology of handwriting recognition. It's never gotten past 98% or so accuracy, and 2% inaccuracy is terrible. It's that you have 100 letters and 2 of them are off.
yeah, it might be fine on like a note that you left on the counter, you know, a little 1-page note that you might be able to still pull that apart.
You're right. Imagine it scattered throughout a book. Every 2 letters out of 100 are wrong. That's no good, and it could never get. It is yet to get past that. Even screen reading it sometimes screws up. You can't do it, and so the reading of a long book is never. I can predict this person.
Wow.
I'm pretty convinced of it. Will never be good. It will always have a percentage of screw ups and like misreads. You see it, and as soon as you hear a misread, where like 2 words are jumbled in some funny way, or they're not separated correctly to make sense of a sentence. As soon as you hear it, it's kind of shocking to you, and it's not pleasant. And this is so you're not going to get rid of people that actually can read out loud. So
do you think that's like a time? Is it just because of the length of the book on how we can get this thing to sing, but it can't read? I mean, it just seems to be this weird thing. And no matter how good it gets, it's like they can get the AI. It'll fool me for maybe there's like a time there. I don't know if it's somewhere between like 30 seconds and 2 minutes. But if it's like any longer than that, it seems to be like, wait a second. This is a fucking robot.
Actually,
and once you figure it's a robot, you just can't get that out of your head.
Right. That's a fact. Now, the thing, I think you hit on something here, which I have not heard yet, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to steal that from you, which is the idea that length has something to do with it. So if you have a 2-minute Broadway musical tune that somebody put together, if it's got a screw up in it, you're going to spot it right away. Just have it redo. So it's easy within a 3-minute or 4-minute time limit. Somebody's singing with a chorus. Yes, and then but to talk for 3 hours, no, not going to happen. So there is. I think the time factor is important. So we can realize that like reading a short memo or a note, yeah, maybe you can get away with that. But reading a book, no, not going to happen.
Well, and then I mean, you've got to add in too that a lot of the books that we're talking about are old, you're reading a scanned PDF or something like that, where the AI needs perfect text. I mean, I can't even get my fucking AI and my Adobe and stuff like that to even figure these things out half the time. You know, it's like, just take this page from this old PDF and put it into a nice Word document so that I can deal with it over here. And it can't even do that. I mean, it's coming up with letters that I can't even make with my keyboard.
Yes, right. This is the same thing. It's not going to change. AI can't. That problem is not fixable. AI can't fix it. Nobody's ever going to read a book using an AI voice. It's not going to bother you. So that's not going to happen. I think the singing, though, a song with, there's only so many words in a song anyway, is doable. And I think the music business is going to get hit with this, because eventually there's going to be a genius out there. There's always a genius in any of these fields. Some guy that's got a clue. The clue that when he does it, it's going to be one of those, I could have done that. Oh, I should have thought of that, which is always bothersome in tech. Tech is loaded with that moment where you slap yourself in the forehead and say, jeez, if I was just thinking right, I would have gotten that. And somebody's going to do that with music, and it's going to destroy the business.
Well, I was thinking, you mentioned Sinatra. You guys could do, if you're no agenda music thing, you could do Sinatra, but just spell it with N-O-T in the middle.
Yeah, we could.
What do you think? Because, I mean, the other thing we haven't mentioned, I'm sure some of the listeners are jumping up and down, is what about from the control aspect? If you look at this from the conspiratorial sort of things, it's just been this long march to them being able to control everything we type, read, see. I mean, Trump, if people are paying attention, kind of already know, but Trump just sort of mentions in passing the other day that they're using 5G to spy in our houses and stuff like that. 6G.
6G, yeah, sure. Nobody's spying on your house with 6G. Let's stop right there. So that's nonsense. There is they would let you. I mean, law enforcement in particular would love a surveillance state. I mean, we always have to, no matter where you are, because it makes everybody's job so much easier. And this has started with the Clipper chip or whatever it was from like 30 years ago. They tried to put in television sets. The FBI wanted that big time. But it's been a never-ending struggle. They do want to do digital ID. They're probably going to get somewhere with that to a point, because that's going to help track everybody. But it's not going to be the complete solution, I don't think. And it's going to be resisted.
What if it comes from corporations? I have a question, because I just came across this before the show. Just came across it. A website that I use just said they're going to ask for my age verification.
Oh, what porn site was that, Graham?
It was another Dungeons and Dragons website.
Oh, okay.
It was Dungeons and Dragons Beyond, D&D Beyond.
How old do you have to be to play Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, 5.
Well, it was the adult version, but no, I'm just kidding. I mean, this is my point. I think it's the first time and then I started thinking when you were talking, I mean, maybe it'll come from the corporate environment where people have to start doing that to sign into websites for your, for whatever you're using, whatever games you're playing. And then is that just one step? It's probably one step closer, right? I mean, if they're sharing that information, then.
Yeah, it is. It is one step closer. And when you run into that, you just don't use that site anymore. You just boycott the site, and people have to do that. Okay, you lost a moment of entertainment or whatever. But if I see something like that, I've seen it every so often somebody wants to do something, pull this stunt. No, I got other things to do. There's lots of stuff on the internet, if you haven't noticed. And there's lots of competition on the internet, and a lot of it's international. You don't have to do anything. And so that's my approach.
So is this Australian thing, though, that's happened going to push it to the West pretty quick? Because I think that's why that now they're using it as an excuse. They're like, well, we have to do it for this, so we're just going to do it for everything.
Yeah, you always come up with some excuses. For the children, usually. Yeah. I would say the Australia test, I would call it a test. is gonna, they're gonna see how it does, and then they're gonna, the guy who's the premier there, they did Elmer Fudd. The guy looks just like Elmer Fudd. He's an idiot. They're going to try it, and they're going to try to push it over here. England's got a better shot at it. They've got their public there pretty much ruined, and it's it's a struggle. It's not going to. It's going to be interesting to see how people put up with it. They're not going to put up with it. I don't think. I think over maybe 20 years from now, where I'll be singing a different tune, but. I think people, if you talk about the resistance, this is the thing you resist.
Yeah.
We're at that point, the resist point.
We don't have enough resistance. That's the problem.
Well, you're in Canada, though.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble. Do you have any sort of any thoughts or predictions on this weird relationship that's going on between Canada and the U.S. and Western Canada threatening to peel off, and now there's rumors of this new H-2B visa coming out where Trump's gonna start letting in tradesmen from Canada, Australia, and places like that.
I don't have any thoughts on that special visa. The Canada-U.S. bickering is. I'm not sure what that stems from. It seems to stem from a trade imbalance. So even though they're blaming it on drugs, which is, I think, a red herring. Trump uses red herrings to get his way. He's pretty good at it. So I think he wants something from Canada that he's not getting. We don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Not sure who knows what it is. But he knows what it is, and it's just one of these things. It's kind of amusing. Canada and the United States have always had this kind of a funny relationship ever since the War of 1812, which Canada likes to talk about, and we don't. We always talk about the War of 1812 as what was something that happened, and Canada likes to see it as their victory, the victory, spiking the ball, and. So there's always been this funny little back and forth between Canada and the United States, which is somewhat enjoyable. I spent a lot of time in Victoria. I've been all over Canada, pretty much all the provinces except one of them. And I haven't been to those little dinky ones out in the middle of nowhere, Prince Edward Island and places like that. I haven't been there, but nobody has. So I don't really know. But it's just it's fun to watch. It hasn't really. You guys have taken the brunt of it insofar as your money becoming less valuable. But I don't know what's going on, to be honest. To really be honest about it,
we've taken the brunt of it because it enabled Mark Carney to get in. He basically opened the door for Carney to get in. Now we're stuck again for I don't know how many years. And we're going to have a liberal majority soon, and we'll be under all kinds of interesting.
I'm always under the impression that Trump had something to do with getting Carney in.
Yeah.
Even though Trump should have wanted to. What's your other guy, the conservative?
Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, whose name I can never pronounce. By the way, I was in the Parliament being taken on a tour once. In Ottawa, and I was taken into Mackenzie's offices, which were then being used by that French guy who was the years ago.
Chrétien?
Yeah, that guy another name I can't pronounce. And so they showed me the secret exit. This is they should make this part of the tour because it's not normally seen. But behind the bookcase, they opened the bookcase, and there is a stairway out the back of which was Mackenzie's office during that era. And he'd sneak out and drive off in a car because the reporters would be out in the front, I was told by the person giving me the tour. The reporters would be out there haranguing him, saying, we know he's in there. He's got to be in there. And so he'll escape. He escaped out the back. And then the reporters, they'd let him in, and Mackenzie was nowhere to be found. And
Mackenzie as in The consultants.
No, Mackenzie is one of the early prime ministers.
Not McKinsey. Okay.
Yeah, the early one of the old back in the day.
I didn't think those consultants went that far back and they had
not
their own
McKinsey,
office, because I thought that makes sense.
No,
They
I
have their
meant
own office
McKenzie
right
with
in
a
there.
Z. Mackenzie with a Z. You're McKenzie.
Our McKinsey's getting like 22 billion a year from our government. I mean, you would not believe how much they're spending. It's mind-boggling.
It doesn't surprise me. All these aristocratic run countries, there's a lot of money being siphoned off by the aristocracy, the monarchs.
Yeah.
How much longer can that last? Is this sort of financial great reset inevitable, do you think? I mean, you've been following the markets for a long time.
Yeah, I've been following. There's going to be a market collapse probably. I mean, if Trump has his way, he'll put it off. It should happen next year, actually. But Trump can push it off. If he can push it past the midterms, it'll be okay. He has to be careful that the market doesn't collapse before the 2028 elections. It's definitely going to crash when the next president comes in office, and he's going to get blamed for it. This is going to be very similar to when we had Reagan, who saved the economy in the 80s. Then George H.W. Bush became president in 88, got elected in 88, took over, and there was a market crash during his term when there's no new taxes, bull crap, and all the rest of it, and they had to raise taxes, which ruined him right there. And then Clinton got in, and whereas Bush should have gotten reelected, but no, because of this little collapse. This is going to happen to J.D. Vance or Rubio, whoever becomes the next president. They're going to get one term and then going to get booted out, and the Democrats will be back in and we'll be all screwed up again. You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's a good prediction. I like it.
You
How is Trump going to hold it off?
He's going to manipulate the market and whatever he can do with the Fed. He's going to get that new Fed guy in there, and he's going to overdo the lowering of interest. I bet it's not going to take much and it'll prop up the market artificially for a good year. He can do it.
What about the debt?
Sorry?
What about the debt?
The debt's a disaster.
Is there any is there no comeuppance on that where like it's not just a market crash? It's like is there any point where the bottom just falls out of this thing?
Well, there's two ways of dealing with it. One, they think if you get the interest rates low enough, it lowers the interest on the debt somehow. And so it's easier to pay off, and he thinks he's going to pay it off with tariffs. Okay, so he's getting some money in doing that. The other thing, the normal way that the debts are taken care of is with hyperinflation. So, which is something they don't want to talk about. But hyperinflation, and it doesn't have to be hyper in the sense of Argentina or Brazil or Venezuela.
Just super inflation.
Yeah, just bad. If you get the inflation rate to 10%, that means that you can pay back the debt with cheaper dollars. And that's the old trick the Democrats used to use to pay down the debt. And I think they were even trying to do it during the Biden administration, to be honest about it. That's where they were giving away money and letting the interest rates crank up. Let the inflation rate crank up. So, which would have probably helped, even though it's counterintuitive and it's not good for anybody. But if you can reclaim the industrial base, in other words, bring all the industry back to the United States, so you're not dependent on imports so much, you can pull that stunt off. Because if there's no imports, you don't have to worry about what the dollar's worth. You just make it so it's hyperinflated, pay off the debt with cheap dollars, and get back to normal. It would take a number of years, but it does require reindustrialization of the United States, which is what Trump's trying to do. I think in the background, this may be going on.
Wow. So do you think that Trump's going to give and his financial guy, they're going to give some money back to the people next year? I mean, it sounds like they're starting to talk about it again. I have a little bit of a prediction that it's going to come with the the caveat that you need it in stable coins, so they'll get everybody on the digital money that way.
Well, the stablecoin gambit is quite good. Adam's the one following this closer than I am. He's the one who spotted it, and I have to say it's probably something to it. This is the basically the methodology to pay down the debts through some sort of scheme, which I can't quite fathom. But it's also a way to bypass the Belgians and the SWIFT banking system, which is already trying to screw the Russians out of their money, and go to a system that we control instead of the Europeans controlling. All the banking, international banking, is controlled by the Europeans. We don't like that, and so the stablecoin can accomplish that somehow. There needs to be somebody, there has to be somebody out there that's going to write a definitive short book showing us exactly with details how this is going to work. Because I can kind of get it, but I don't get it. So
yeah, it seems to be different in the way that it's tied to an actual dollar. So it's like, it to me, like I almost feel like we already have that in Canada. We're doing online bank. I mean, we're pretty much in Canada using online banking and tapping our cards. I mean, we're almost there. Really, it's just not called a stable coin. It's a dollar in Canada, but I mean, I feel like,
but it's electronic for all
intents and purposes is electronic. But I think that they would tokenize that so that, you know, maybe there's a different way to transact with it as opposed to our just transferring stuff back and forth through our.
I don't like the idea of the direction that you're going there. I don't like the idea of the digital money at all, because I think it was Cyprus or one of the smaller countries that they just basically stole everybody's money. They took, you have, what do you have in the bank? You have $100,000. Well, now you have 90,000. We've taken 10 of it because we need it. What? You know, which you can't do with hard currency, but.
Well, yeah, and they're even talking about using, all the Europeans, the money in their banks as collateral, which means, does that mean they're going to eventually have access to it if they want? I mean, it's crazy, some of the stuff. I mean,
I think we already have that rule in Canada. Didn't Trudeau sign something in that basically says if they need to, they can come and take your money?
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that to be true. Yeah. Well,
I have so many questions for you, John. I mean, I wanted to get into maybe the C5, but I also want to talk to you about the new media and stuff. Darren, do you have anywhere you want to go, or?
No, you can go ahead.
Well, because it's, I listened to the last couple episodes and I was pretty fascinated by, okay, let me put it this way. It seemed like there was some pushback on you guys, and I felt like it was like you guys have won the war against the mainstream media. I mean, I think people were saying like, okay, enough of analyzing the mainstream media. You got to start analyzing the new sort of the podcast sphere. I mean, and you guys talked about it on the last show, but this has been sort of simmering for quite a while. But now we have all this stuff going on. Like it's kind of, these platforms have kind of taken over the mainstream in a way. I mean, and now we have like this Nick Fuentes versus Piers and Candace versus Tim Pool. And I mean, there's these big battles going on in this
fake battles
space. Like they're big battles, but in a lot of ways it kind of has taken over the mainstream. So how has that affected your guys' deconstruction, and have you had to switch to kind of listening to more long form content instead of clipping the mainstream? Or I guess that's
we're trying to figure out how to get into a feud with you two guys. Haven't figured it out
yet. That's not gonna happen. We just don't. We're just trying to avoid all the drama.
We avoid feuds. We just ignore them.
We don't like hockey. So, no, I don't think it's changed. I think what we've done is we've just redefined what's mainstream media. For all practical purposes, Nick Fuentes is mainstream media in terms of, if you want to, although he doesn't provide us with a lot of content. Candace Owens, we don't really clip her, if you haven't noticed. I don't know if you've ever heard a clip from her show. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so. She's a classic online troublemaker who is quite talented at it. There's a guy called What Do You Meme this character as a black guy. What do you meme? He goes after Candace he's on YouTube. You should check him out. He is obviously a pro. I've watched him a lot. He is an expert. The way I see it, he is a professional COINTELPRO analyst. I don't know where he comes from or what he's doing, but if you watch him, you go, this guy's not fooling around when he's deconstruct. He doesn't deconstruct. He analyzes intelligence, and he goes after her and breaks her down like nobody else does. And it's obvious that it's not necessary for us to really be looking at her too much, but we're a little we can't not be aware of the fact that there's this clique, a circle jerk of podcasts that go, well, everybody goes on each other's little podcasts and they go around and around and around. And then they have these fake feuds and they get mad at each other and they talk about each other's podcast. And they're not providing any real benefit except pure entertainment. And so we still stick with going after NBC and CBC and France 24 and those guys. They're still putting propaganda out there that needs to be looked at.
Darren, do you have anything to add to that at all, or
is there a sort of behind the scenes battle right now for that propaganda front? Is that where some of these guys like Fuentes and stuff are coming up from? Because in some ways they don't seem totally organic. And it's kind of like these, I don't have cable, but when I used to have cable, you turn on the thing, or when I go to my in-laws, it's the CNN, the MSNBC, it's all those. But when I pick up my phone and go onto the social media, it's sort of this entirely different landscape, but it also has the same players. You know what I mean? It's like when you think of Hollywood and the movies, you've got all these sort of main actors and you got all the news anchors, but my social media feed has turned into that too. I mean, go on to X and try and not see Fuentes' face on there, or try not to see before Charlie Kirk and now still Charlie. But it's almost become, my phone is it's a separate
your phone
mainstream media.
Yeah, no, your phone is deceiving you. The phone, your algorithm, what you just said, for example, what you said, I go on social media. I don't use it necessarily on the phone, but I do it. And I have done it off phones. I don't like using the phone at all. But the algo has given you Nick Fuentes. I've voluntarily gone and watched Nick Fuentes and looked at what he's up to. He's a really talented guy. But he never shows up in any feed I have, and but I don't have that many feeds. My feeds are from LinkedIn, from Twitter, X formerly Twitter, and Reels, and the Instagram thing, where you got the guy with what I get mostly, because the algo does this to me. I get the guy with I don't know if you've seen this guy. I see him all the time. He's wearing a yellow hard hat, and he's wearing an orange vest, and he's watching disasters take place. Yeah. That guy.
I got him too.
This is the funniest guy on the internet. And that guy.
There's been a couple people trying to copy him a few times too.
It's not possible. He because if you go back far enough, you see he didn't have the hard hat on when he first started off. He developed that character. He's looking left and right and giving faces, and it's always just looks like pretty much the same. It's almost like the other bull crap that I see, which is the latest bull crap that I've identified as such. And I probably knew this was fake from the beginning. You see a bunch of them. A woman goes up to a porch. She grabs a box and I'm stealing this package, and it blows up in her face and she's covered with paint. Okay, this is bull crap. It's always the same fat chicks that are on there, and they're falling over, and they're covered with paint from head to toe from what appears to be an empty box when they pick it up, because there's nothing in this box. You can tell when somebody's picking up a heavy object and a light object just by their body language. When it's a light object that just comes right up, you see it. It's an empty box. They're picking it up, and they go down to their car, and then a big explosion takes place, like there's a quarter stick of dynamite in the thing, and it throws paint all over the person and the car, and then they yell, usually pretty much one or two or three things. Are you kidding me? Is one of the lines they use constantly. Are you kidding me? Or I'm going to sue you, or I'm going to call the cops. It's always, they don't have any creativity in the lines. And so the person's covered from head to foot in paint or powder or whatever. This is bull crap. This is, this is a lawsuit. If it was ever happened to anybody, they'd sue the person for blinding them, if not blowing their head off. The whole thing is a scam. I think it's designed as a propaganda stunt to keep people from stealing boxes.
Yes. I was just going to say the no agenda take on that would be like, that's Amazon, like making
Amazon's producing the videos
to get rid of the porch pirates. Oh my God.
They have a studio. Amazon has a studio. They can produce as much of this kind of crap as you want.
I love it.
Same place they filmed the moon landing.
No, it's a different studio. That studio's been taken down as far as I know. So so you see these things, but you watch this social media. The other thing that you see that I got stuck on, I got my algo tells me, it gives me cooking demos of horrible people that can't cook. They throw in a bunch of ground meat and tons of cheese. And they mix it up with a bunch of goo and other than beans and all the rest of it. And then they stir it around and then they serve it up. And then there's another video, another I can't cook video with they're cooking something and they're putting a bunch of cheese and it's just disgusting. And so the whole social media thing is ruined by fakes. And now with the one I got this morning, which was a classic AI, the AI is now infecting it to an extreme. Big fat chick, you're gonna see this one; it's gonna kill you. Big, hugely fat woman with giant thighs on a balance beam in an Olympic event. She comes on and they have the announcers talking about, oh, she's going to do this and that. And she comes walking out and she does a flip in the air, which is by the laws of physics are literally impossible. She does a giant flip in the air and comes down on the balance beam and breaks it into a million pieces and goes flying on her face, lands up on the ground on her butt and holds her hand up like she stuck the landing. This is one of the funniest AI videos I've seen, but I don't know how many people are going to think that's real.
I've already noticed where people think stuff is real. Usually boomers. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, you don't think this is real, do you?
Well, the boomers have an issue. I'm a boomer. I'm like an original, an OG boomer. But I was always in tech, so I don't, I can see this coming down Broadway. And a lot of boomers never got a clue. But it's not just boomers who get suckered by this. I'd say a lot of people in general will believe the fat chick on the balance beam.
Again, it's being saturated. I don't know how long it's going to be able to last. Unfortunately, there is some that are so funny that it's kind of, it's.
Oh, the fat chick on the balance beam is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's funny how quick the body positivity thing went away.
Yeah. Well, you're objecting to my use of the term fat chick?
No, I was just thinking that
that they allow it on there. Really.
That you never even used to be able to do that stuff until they came out.
That's true. You're probably right.
And stuff. They kind of set that back where we could call people fat again.
Yeah, well, she's fat, but it was designed that way so it would be funnier.
But back to the propaganda though, because Nick Fuentes and Tim Pool, for example. I mean, they're both very talented. I mean, it's hard to know. Like, I feel like a lot of it is organic. Tim's put in the work. For Tim Pool's because I have our peers always controlled op. He's this and that. But I mean, the guy has put in the work, and yeah, maybe he's funded by some people, but I mean, his culture war deconstruction is top notch. So it is hard to know sometimes what is organic and what's just what's out there.
Well, a lot of it, and I'll vouch for Fuentes on this one. Fuentes puts in the work. He does 3 hours a day daily, and this will get you an audience. I mean, our audience is largely limited by the fact we only do 2 days a week. If this was noticeable when the blogging era began some years back, when blogging first was a big deal. people who posted and posted and posted and posted and posted and posted, they posted all the time. They were just posting like maniacs. They got huge numbers of followers. If you only posted once in a while, you know, it's just you don't get the numbers. So putting in the work really is like doing the work. So you put a lot of work in, you get a lot of response. People, I don't know why people want to watch so much material that's long form daily. I mean, the number we're long form at 3 hours, but you know, Fuentes goes 2 hours mostly, but sometimes longer. I was watching a interview show with what show was this? We were watching this. It was a deconstruction with the guy Farmer, the guy who's married to Candace Owens.
Yeah, you mentioned that 5 hours or whatever, 6 hours.
5 hours plus. Yak, 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 yak. I couldn't even watch it. You got Rogan is a 3 hour long format. I mean, this is excuse me, is in contrast to TikTok. And it's interesting to me that it's gotten as far as it has, insofar as its popularity. I'm stunned by it. That people watch 3 hours of this and that.
Yeah. It's hard to believe. But Nick is talented too. I mean, he's pretty funny. He's talented, and he's also right about a lot of things. I mean, and they don't ever want to really talk to him about his they want to just skip right over his arguments a lot of times. I mean, that's happening in Canada right now. They're just labeling all these groups, you know, Nazis and white supremacists, but they'll never actually just talk about the their stance on things and their website. It's unbelievable. I can't wait till it starts to lose power, and we can. I mean, it is starting to lose power. I can't wait till the power is gone from the just calling people names.
There's ops out there to destroy some of these people.
Yeah.
I think Candace is a target. If you watch the "What Do You Mean" guy, "What Do You Meme" guy, he is a pro, and he's going after her in such a way that I don't know how anyone could watch any of his presentations and even take Candace seriously. He just nails it. And you can do that with these guys. See, that's the difference between us and these other guys. We don't, for one thing, we're not an interview show. All we do is look at news and we say, look, here's what, and we've both been in media forever, in one form or another. And so we can spot the little gotchas, the little tricks, the little use of language that's not fair, the journalistic bull crap. And all we do is just completely show, or we try to show people, you guys are good examples, you know, what trickery is involved here and what they're trying to do, and is it something that's coordinated? And you can spot the coordination after a while when you keep doing this. I mean, I was never 20 years ago so into the game we like to play on the show called Spot the Spook. Which is figuring out who's working somehow with one of the intelligence agencies. And it turns out that when you're looking for it, you're going to find it, because the number of people that are involved is super high. And you get to, as soon as you see one and you spot them, and you can document that they are by their bio or their lack thereof, or some other scamish thing that's in their background. Then you can take their stuff with this is bull crap. This is probably, they're trying to brainwash me. They're trying to gaslight me. They're trying to fool me. They're trying to trick me. And that's all the show does. And we try to get people so they're kind of armored as best that we can do. And people like it. So they've been happy with the show. And that's why we've been going almost 19 years.
What's the best way for people to find your stuff, listen to it? You're not on video, right? Just RSS feed?
Yeah, it's RSS. And you can go and get the RSS feed, or you can find it somewhere here or there. Most podcast apps have us available, almost all of them except Spotify, and for reasons that we talk about on the show. And you can go to noagendashow.net, and you can see the various episodes and pick the latest one, pick a couple and start listening. It's a great show. Anyone who commutes to work, perfect for them.
You guys have a lot of live listeners too. I mean, if you can, like, some people were bragging about like Nick and Tim's live listeners, but if you guys have 2,000 people in the chats, I mean, how many people? Do you know how many people you have listening live?
We have about 2,000. We have between 1,500 and 20. Our biggest number, which I have right here, I keep it up.
But that's just in the chats, though, right? That's not everybody listening live. Or...
No, they're in the chats listening live.
Okay.
You can't be in there without listening. We had 4,000 once. It was like, and it was based on the show. I mean, our whole success is based on the news cycle. If there's something that crazy that happens, all of a sudden everyone's listening to us because we're going to have a take on it.
Yeah, there was something that happened. Was it the Trump election or something? Something that happened, I remember last year or two, where everybody went to you guys. Trying to remember what it was. Maybe it was even Kirk's thing. But yeah, it's interesting how people will go to you as a trusted source when something major happens to see what your deconstruction is like.
Yes, because we're not influenced by advertising, as you guys aren't. So we can say what we think.
After Trump was shot, that's what it was. Thank you, frightening meme 6464.
We're trusted because we don't have any influence, outside influence. We're not members of the government. We don't work for anybody. I think the government guys like us, and we do get a lot of input from them. We probably get some cash from them now and again. But we have an honest take, and we both have a slightly enough different perspective that we can triangulate on something. And if one of us doesn't catch it, which is the good thing about you guys have the same idea, which is you have two people, you're not going to be just the one guy in the microphone, yak, 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 my opinion, blah, 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 with no pushback, which is necessary to make these things work and analysts work. You have to have somebody else saying, well, I think you might be wrong there because I think it's this way. So we can do that. I think it's a public service, the show that we do.
100%.
100%. I think we got to 4 or 5K live viewers one time, and that was right when we got banned and shadow banned because it was our vaccine debate show.
Oh, vaccines. Yeah.
It was in the process of going viral when Facebook was like, wait a second, what's going on?
But that was 2017, you should mention. That was
2017 or 2018, yeah.
Oh, well, you must have been feeling good when the COVID-19 vaccine came out.
Oh, yeah, that was our little victory.
We've never taken a position on vaccines one way or the other. We just present. We presented all the guys that were taken off of YouTube. The whole thing that with COVID, which got me right when it first happened. I remember it. In fact, I'm going to probably write a Substack. By the way, Dvorak.substack.com. Check out my column. I'm probably going to write a Substack about how we got onto the right side of the COVID argument. It was right after the thing broke out, and there was NBC Nightly News, CBS, everybody was they were in New York, and there were ambulances flying all over the place. It was a live report, and they're all going to this hospital, and they're bringing in giant trucks so the corpses can be put into the refrigerated trucks. And they go over there, and they're all, you see the sirens and lights, and they're out in front of the hospital, yak, yak, yakking, and doing it's called a stand-up when you're out there by yourself. And so, that same night, a YouTuber comes on, does a stream, and he comes out and says, here's the hospital. I don't see any ambulance. And it was the same. He says that earlier in the day, you saw the reports, and he's at the exact same location. There is no ambulances. There's no trucks. There's nobody scrambling around. There's nothing going on. And he's saying, I don't get it. You tell me. And he goes in there. There's nobody around. He takes a walk through the place, and that YouTube video was taken down within days. But I saw it, and I think we even had a clip of it. That was the end for me. That was obvious. This is an op of some sort that I don't like. So we were very skeptical from the get-go.
We had been primed for that. You know, for us, it was like a slow movie, watching this movie in slow motion, because it was like, we could almost guess what was coming next, but you didn't want to be right, because from the get-go, I was like, there's no way they're going for this right now. That's going to be like the slow play, and it's going to be the scare, and then they're going to come back in a couple years and they'll lay it on a little thicker. But they just kept their foot on the gas. They just kept
started with
going.
this flattening the curve was the beginning.
2 weeks to flatten the
We're gonna
curve.
flatten the curve.
Hey, it's not over, man. We just have stuff going around on X. There's Canadians, passing around these studies that say that less early. What is it when you have an early birth?
Prenatals?
No, not prenatal, but like an early birth. Like
Yeah. I know what it is.
there's less. There's like with vaccinations get like less early births, and they're trying to. They're coming up with the premature births. They're coming up with these studies now that it's just so it's still flying around. I mean, it's unbelievable what's happening in Canada. We're still fighting this. At least you guys have some wins from Maha. Does seem to be, making some wins. I mean, they really are. I mean, I was thinking about it today because we're reading some of the stuff from the podcast, and I thought about the way that the whole childhood vaccine now schedule's getting like analyzed in a way, especially after they pulled the Hep B one off the mandatory list. And I'm thinking, this might be the only way you could do it, is to sort of logically do it. Like, you can't just go in and shut the whole program down. Like half of our conspiracy friends are just like, it's not happening fast enough. They're not shutting it down fast enough. Like, how do you go in and just shut it down? You got to show them by their the science that they claim to have. You got to show them like, hey, there's no study showing this. Here's some studies, blah, blah, blah. It's got to be kind of like that. So
the easiest way to do the whole thing to fix everything is to take this liability clause out of our laws where these guys, how can you make a product and have no liability for any harm it causes? How is that legal? I mean,
mandate it.
Sorry?
And mandate it.
And then mandate it. Right. Yeah. I know. It's ridiculous. And that's all that needs to change. I don't know if they can pull it off. I mean, Kennedy's running against a brick wall as it is.
Yeah.
Pretty much. John C. Dvorak, thank you for your courage. This has been great. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for doing what you do, and give our best to Adam.
I will. And I'll see you guys in a couple of years.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Good.
Awesome.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Take care.
So.
And that was a chat with the legendary John C. Dvorak from No Agenda. Man, I guess so. I must have been listening to No Agenda since the first year we started the show,
2014, yeah.
12 years. So ITM, we hope you guys appreciated the show. Big thanks to John for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks to the people that get some value from the show. If you do get some value from our podcast, that adds value to commute or your day or wherever you're listening, head over to Grimerica.ca/support and sign up for a monthly or make a one-time donation today and send some value back our way so that we can keep doing the podcast for you. And you guys can keep sending support. We'll keep doing the podcast and we can keep this sort of thing going. Otherwise, it all just falls off the tracks. But check out GrimericaOutlawed.ca for other podcasts. Contact @thecabin.com for trips and events. Adultbrain.ca for ebooks, audiobooks, and print books. You can also publish your book if that's what you're into. And GrimericaCBD.com for gummies and tinctures. Other than that, we love you guys. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.